Welcome back, guys. We took a little bit of time off during Christmas break. I hope you guys got to spend some time with your family while we did this, but we have some really great guests coming up, including this guy. I've been trying to get him on the show for a while. We connected a while back. He is doing social experiments using technology in ways that are incredible. In fact, we had a researcher from an Ivy League university come to us and say that there were things that we were doing that the universities couldn't study. And when I thought about that, my first thought, I told him, I was like, have you seen this guy right here, who's my guest today, Ethan Kaiser? Ethan Kaiser is the creator of Parallel Lives. I'll have him explain what it is. I've showed it several times on my show previously. It's really, really cool. And he's basically social engineered the world with different apps, and really, really great content creator. And he's here for CES. Hey, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks for having me. This is awesome. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, excited to have you here, man. I got to ask you first. So, a lot of the girls I date, we get into this conversation. Well, sometimes on Access Vegas, where we'll talk about, I'll bring up astrology and how it's complete and total horseshit nonsense. And when I do so, I know because it's always going to get a riled up response from them, because it's one of the funniest things in the world to me is how I talk to a lot of women who want to get in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and there's a push to do that. But I'm like, but you believe in astrology.
Yeah,
like
crazy.
You believe that like Mercury actually causes some sort of change in your life. And you think that like you should date men because of their astrological sign. You created an astrology website.
I did.
And can you talk about that?
I saw this like phenomenon happening in Miami, LA, New York, and I'm just like, these girls are crazy. Like, what do you mean? Like the sun was in a position when you were born, which impacts my personality?
Yeah.
It's like, this sounds ridiculous. And I thought it was like just like a fun like hee joke for girls, but some people actually like base decisions in life, like their lives on this concept. So I had this idea like years ago, maybe 2022. I don't even know if the website's still up. It probably isn't, but I bought this website, Soulmate Comparison or soulcomparison.com. I can't even remember. I think I actually spelled comparison wrong when I registered the website, but I bought this website and I made it so that you could put in any two signs. So I could put my sign in a girl that maybe I match with on Hinge. I could put her sign in because, it's in her bio all the time. And then I could generate using AI or write my own reason for why we're so compatible. And then it'll just like generate a web page that you can send them with a link. And it looks 100% real. And it's like, and you can just be like, hey, I looked up our compatibility on this site, and it says we're really compatible, especially if you meet in like an online setting. That's our specialty. And these girls would eat this thing up. They're like, well, on other sites they say we're not compatible, but because of this one doohickey of we met on an online site, that's like the special way that the Cancer and the Leo or whatever the combo would be. That makes it work. And they would buy it, and it was so unbelievable. So yeah, I made this like astrology site, but that's just one example of the many things I built to kind of like just demonstrate like really stupid ideas.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I look at the world from like obviously a male perspective. So people would be like, oh, like, you're being hard on like women, but it's actually astrology is universal for so many people in so many cultures.
Yes.
It's stupid universally in my opinion.
It's universally ignorant but here's the thing. I go on my show and I'm like, hey, there's been thousands of studies on this, where they compare astrological signs and then they look at the success of whether people go on a second date or if people start dating. And the correlation is 0.00. And everyone looks around and each other is like, no, but you don't understand. That's Vedic astrology, not Greek astrology. And I'm like, yo, please stop. It's so crazy. And the thing is, and then I get into the next part, which is if I believe in, it's like, Michael, you should open your mind to believe more things. And I'm like, here's what I believe. I will give everything a shot, and then when you can create a testable model and make predictions based on relativity, quantum mechanics, Newtonian physics, then I'll believe in that thing because there's a testable model. I get into this conversation, and the girls are just like, they don't even give a shit about what I'm saying, and they're just like, they're more dug into their astrology cult.
Insane.
And it's wild. And then I was like, and I was telling my friend, I was actually telling this girl about it. And I was like, yeah, there's a guy who made a website, and no matter what two signs you put in there, they match up. And the guy was like hooking up with a bunch of chicks, and she was so mad. Yeah. She was so angry because of it.
Honestly, it comes down to like a fundamental point. I kind of base my life on this in some way, which is, the models that have predictive outcome are always better than those that don't have predictive outcome. So the idea of like, and I don't mean to get like too religious, but like overly relying on prayer, over relying on like astrology, over relying on anything that doesn't have a predictable outcome, you're ultimately going to be disappointed when it doesn't give you the outcome. Whereas in science, where you have predictive outcomes, like if I increase water to a certain temperature, it's going to boil. Like, this is always predictable. It's more useful. You can do more things with it. It's much more like measurable. So I try to always rely on things that are predictable outcomes. Yeah. And it seems to work well for me.
Yeah. And then speaking of which, There's another thing, and I admire, honestly, I love the parallel lives thing, but this is probably what I admired more than anything, which WitchTok.
Yeah,
like,
the WitchTok stuff.
Because I do the same thing. It's like I have these conversations with people, and there's these quantum mystics like Deepak Chopra and Joe Dispenza who start talking about, I healed my spine using a quantum field. And I'm having a conversation with people who are actually very successful, and they're like, yeah, I love Joe Dispenza. And I'm like, hey man, I don't have a problem if Joe Dispenza stays in his lane. He's a doctor of chiropractic. If he wants to talk about meditation, I don't have a problem. Just like I studied astronomy in college. Keep the quantum mechanic out of your mouth because you don't know what you're talking about. And he does this stuff, and everyone I talk to is like, no, Michael, you don't understand how the. And then when you did the WitchTok thing, bro, I was like, oh, that's so genius.
Thanks.
Because what you did is you asked the witches to create a predictable model. So if you can explain what happened with the WitchTok.
So this actually goes further than that. And it actually started with a video I made in like 2022 where I made a 12-second video. I got 300,000 followers from this 12-second video. I said, I don't believe in all this like witches. I mean, I don't believe in all the spirits and demons and ghosts. Witches weren't even in the picture at this point. They inserted themselves. I don't believe in all this like spirituality. So I'm going to do every single ritual, every single thing I can find on the ceremony online to get myself possessed by a demon.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do everything I can. And let's see if I survive. So from the eyes of like the audience, there's all this drama. They're like, he could die. Like he's going to die. And from like the eyes of like TikTok and the online platforms, they're like, well, this isn't considered like risky violence, right? So it was like this perfect middle ground of like all this risk and violence, but there's really not going to be any outcome of that. So it was allowed, right?
Yeah.
So I was in this really sweet spot. And I used to go to like graveyards by myself. I mean, none of my friends would go with me. So I was like this weirdo. Definitely affected like my dating life. Like no one wants to go out with like the witch guy, or no one's go out with like the demon guy. But I'd go to like abandoned hospital in Florida by myself with the Ouija board. Like I'd live stream it, and I'd legitimately get like 10,000 like real viewers on TikTok. And I go with the Ouija board and I buy dolls off the internet on eBay that are supposed to be like possessed. And I got a Dybbuk box, which is like this box that has a demon in it. And I used to put it in the microwave to get it more angry. You know, I smack the box a little bit, then I open it up, and obviously nothing happened in the end. So in the end, like that was like my first understanding of like this. I mean, I knew this was all BS, but like people thought I was absolutely insane.
Yeah.
And then the witch stuff came like a year later. I was talking about the spiritual demons, how I debunked all that. And this witch was like, I could put a hex on you and you'd be ruined. And I'm like, all right, let's do it. Like, what do you need from me? And she was like, what? I mean, yeah, let's do it. Like I put her on blast. So she asked for like my nails, a shirt of mine, some hair. So I mailed her everything. And, you know, at first she complained that the hair was like too curly. It couldn't have been mine. But I said, you didn't specify where it had to come from. I'm just joking. No, it's from my head. But yeah, ultimately, like she did her hex on me, and she asked all of the witches to join in on the hexing. So there's like thousands of videos of girls hexing me, like cutting out my Instagram photos and like lighting them on fire. Like they're really out to get me. And yeah, in the end, well, I mean, in the end, nothing happened to me. Actually, my life is getting a lot better. I've had more success in my life than ever before. So I highly recommend getting hexed. Audience, if you haven't been hexed yet, and if you want to get hexed, okay, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. So if that's a data point for success, this one's clearly correlated if you want to believe in WitchTok and witchcraft.
Yeah. They thought you had died?
Oh, so this is so funny. Yeah. So these idiots, they were like expecting me to die, and it was going to happen very soon. So I let them think that I died. So I created a website, okay, and I just like copied like a real news website. Like I ripped it, I just changed the logo, and I bought this domain like 7 News Miami or something, right? And I ran an article that like, you know, so I own the website, so I can do whatever I want with it. And then I changed it, like Ethan Kaiser like dies in Miami apartment or whatever. And then I leaked it to like some of like the more activist witches that were in my DMs like, through like another account. And they were having like celebrations. I mean, this was like the greatest thing they're like, it worked. Like we finally got him. And no, I was like laughing the whole time. Then I changed the link to the website, which goes to the Rick Roll. I Rick rolled them or something. This is like an internet trend or something. Anyway, I did this, and then I was not dead, and they realized it, and that was the end. Like so people don't know this. I was actually working at TikTok as an engineer, so I could see on the back end a lot of like the WitchTok was a growing trend on TikTok. I killed it. Like it's dead now. Like WitchTok is not a trend anymore. I killed it, and I'm glad I did it.
So this is one thing that I thought was interesting. It was like the dilemma of, okay, if a girl falls for the astrology website thing, it's like, do you feel bad? And my response is the same as yours, is like, no, because astrology is.
Yeah. So I mean, that's like the age-old question. Like, if someone has like an idiotic belief and it leads them to like something that they may not have decided on their own.
Yeah.
It's like they kind of did their own doing, but it's definitely a tricky question for sure. Yeah. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that, actually. Yeah.
The other one I want to talk about, and this was like really huge, was there were strippers who were showing money. You made videos about it, and then it ended up costing you your job.
Yeah,
and then you got an article in Rolling Stone written about you.
It was crazy. Yeah, that was like one of the craziest moments in my life, and I'm so glad it happened.
Because that ended up for you going to TikTok.
Well, yeah. It was one of the best. And I have to be careful what I say here because, like, it's quite interesting. I worked at Cisco Systems, which is like, for those who don't know, it's like the router company. They've been around forever.
Yeah.
I'm going to say good company, and it probably was a bad fit for me, but a good company overall. They were very much in like the activist space, surprisingly, for being like an older company when it comes to like BLM and the social like pressures.
They're in San Francisco, right?
Yeah, they're in San Francisco.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
So they're very activist, in my opinion. And I remember having like town hall meetings with the CEO and everybody, and they're just talking about how it's good for business. I mean, it's really weird to admit that, but that was like what their whole thing is, like, we're here to support. And this actually goes really deeply into like other conversations.
Supporting BLM was good for their business.
They claim that it's good for business for like the inclusion and what's like a DEI stuff.
Yeah,
it's really big on that for them. Okay, so we'll get to the stripper stuff, but this is really important to understand. I was an engineering senior manager, so one level below director, and I was in charge of hiring engineers for my team, and it was very much pushed on us that we had to hire certain, without saying it directly, it was like, we need to find more Black or women, and Asian doesn't count. That's not a minority. Like, what do you mean Asian isn't a minority? No, we need to find women and more Black people to be working here. And I tried really hard. It was really hard to find the engineering talent because everyone was looking for that, Yeah. But in the end, we were ultimately having to lower our standards of what we were going to accept for engineers.
Yeah.
And that goes into the entire DEI like argument. I'll get into like more reasons why I explain this later. But going to the stripper question, so I saw this trend on TikTok, and again, I like to do things that challenge dumb ideas. Okay, very popular dumb ideas. One of which was TikTok trend of who makes the most money in a given weekend. This was like a trend. And of course, who do you think dominated this? It was like escorts and strippers, right? And I'm like, these idiots are taking like wads of cash and they're flexing it on the internet. Like, look, I made $50,000 this weekend. I'm like, how did you make $50,000 this weekend? They're like, just stripping. I didn't do anything with the guy. Like, I don't touch him. I just like make this money. I'm like, that's a fantasy for sure. Yeah. So I was like, okay, well, you see all this cash and you see them hiding it under their bed or like sticking it in their drawers or something. And I thought to myself, well, the reason why they're not putting this in a bank account is because they don't want to pay taxes on it, right? Yeah. They don't want to claim this money. So I made these videos. And again, I got inspiration from like a previous trend from like 2019 where someone else did something similar. But I did it on TikTok where I was making responses to their videos like, hey, you see all this money she's making? Yeah, she's probably not paying taxes on it, but we're going to find out if she is or isn't. So I'm going to fill out this form. I'm going to report her to the IRS because it's a form where you get 30% of whatever the IRS collects. And ultimately, we'll find out whether or not they're making this money, right? And I put in the description of the videos, hey, I'm not actually going to do this. This is just more of like a interesting take on what could happen.
Yeah.
Everything I said was 100% valid, but I didn't actually do this. I didn't actually do, and I said that in my videos, like in the description, I don't actually do this. And I was just replying to various girls who were posting their cash. And man, this thing blew up. Like the Rolling Stone wrote an article about me about how I'm a terrible person. The World Star Hip Hop put out a notice. Watch out. There's a snitch on the loose. So they had a picture of my face. Yeah. And they're like, watch out for this guy. And I killed that entire trend. I was like, I killed that too. That's the strip talk trend.
So one of the things I want to point out here is that what you were saying is objectively true.
And safe.
It is stupid to post. I had a friend of mine. He was a friend of mine from high school. And, he went to jail for a long time. Got out. He had child support payments, and he's showing all this money he made from selling drugs. And they took it from his Facebook, and they showed it to the judge. Oh, wow. Well, I was like, bro, this is stupid. So stupid. Like, for every objective, measurable reason, showing cash like that is all it does is make you a target. If you're a rapper, and I understand it helps you sell albums, then maybe, it's a marketing expense, have the fake money. But for the rest of you, when you do this, you're just actually making yourself look more try-hard. You're more likely to get robbed. And like you said before, the IRS might come after you. Yeah. And then later on, when you you get into some kerfuffle after a divorce or child custody hearing, and then all of a sudden you say, oh, well, I filed for bankruptcy. What about all this cash that we're showing right here? Nobody, rule number 6 in MOA, nobody needs to know who you're and nobody needs to know how much money you make. And so, like, what my point is, what you're saying was objectively good advice, not subjectively, objectively good advice. And then Rolling Stone decided to write an article about you.
Yeah, I still remember the writer's name, but I don't want to give her any credit. So so she wrote this hit piece on me, and it was so ironic. Like people will always like go against reality just to prove their point.
Yes,
this person was like Ethan Kaiser, baby face, balding. First of all, her husband has no hair. Okay, so this is a little projection for calling me balding when her husband literally has no hair to like the 30-yard line. So this was just an angry woman, just mad, very like extremist, writing about how I'm causing more harm to women. Like I was encouraging hatred. This is like the era of 2022, 2023, like nonsense, right? This is not, but this is actually 2021, which is actually I would say peak of it. Like we're still in COVID, a little bit of still in COVID, and everyone's still insane.
And it's the wave of anti-red pill. That's where that's kind of starting, and then Andrew Tate gets all of his accounts taken down in August of that year. And then the whole, and now we're seeing sort of the backlash in the opposite direction.
And I also like think the backlash has its own problems, but it was so funny. If you guys ever want to know what it's like to get fired from a big company, what they do is they'll bring you in and say, the HR lady goes, oh, hi, Ethan, how's your day today? I'm like, oh, my day's going really well. I'm like, well, today's going to be your last day. And like, oh, okay. Like it's all cheersy. Like, oh, this is great. I already knew this was coming. But yes, I was unemployed for like 3 to 4 months. And I'll tell you one thing I learned about myself, which is something that I hope anyone watching this can either develop or become like, but it's when things get really bad for me or I have a really like tough time, I do always overcome it. I always dig deeper. And I just started like going hard on the computer science. Like I was a computer science major. I was a manager but I knew how to do software. I knew how to write code, but I wasn't at the level of like a Google or Facebook or TikTok, like senior engineer. So I went hard on software engineering, and I spent like maybe like 3 or 4 months in the trenches, just like working on my software skills. And I ended up applying to TikTok, and they hired me, and they paid me double, which I was already making.
Yeah.
And it was like, in the end, it all worked out. Actually, it was one of the best things that ever happened to me, getting fired and publicly humiliated. And I got actually, what's it called? When they leak your address, what's that called again?
Doxing.
I got doxed. And I lived in Miami, so a lot of the girls in my building at the time, I didn't live in a super nice building, but it was like an nice building. A lot of them were strippers. Yeah. So they like knew who I was at the pool. Like it was a problem.
Yeah.
And I kind of liked the notoriety a little bit, but it was a little like it was a little scary at one point. But I think it's like the greatest thing ever. Looking back, like whenever I have kids, you know, they look up my name, you know, in Google, like, you did that, Dad? I'm like, yeah, like fuck those strippers, you know.
Yeah. So here's one of the great lessons I took from hearing about your story, is that they said things that were like I don't know, actionably defamatory.
Yeah, they did. I had a lawyer too. Yeah.
And you didn't take action against them. I wonder if you can go into that.
Sure, absolutely. I just didn't have like I think my net worth was like maybe around $100,000, which is not a lot to go after a large company.
Sure.
Or not. I don't think I'd go after my employer. I'd go after Rolling Stone, right?
Yeah.
They said, and they would have to like the problem here was that I was a public figure. That was the problem. So being a public figure, it sounds weird to say that because I don't feel like a public figure, but if you have like, I guess like a large social following, and I was just starting to make money at the time, it just wasn't really worth it. I had a lawyer that wanted to do it. He was a friend of mine. But ultimately we did not. So that's that. That was the end of it. Yeah.
The reason why I bring this up is the London Times wrote an article about me, or it wasn't an article, it was an excerpt from a book. And the guy is just like totally lying. Basically, I'm not even going to say the guy's name, but he writes this article about escaping the manosphere, and he comes on one of my boot camps. And I remember him on my boot camp being this lecherous drunk who just hit on every single girl. Like he didn't escape the manosphere. He literally was the manosphere, right? And then he writes these articles, and he basically women pandering, and he goes on he goes on all these shows that I can't even get on to basically bash me and say things that I didn't. Like I have witnesses who will tell you none of the things that not none of them. Some of them he said that were just misinterpretations, but like he said that I told men to edit their trapezius muscles in their photos, like just utter and complete nonsense. And then I was like talking to the team, and they were asking like, do you want to sue them or whatever? And I was like, no, because I can't prove damages.
Yeah.
Because the same month that article comes out, we break every record in the company.
You have to prove that there's like a correlation or a direct connection between what they said and then damages.
Yeah, and then the next part is the book sucked and nobody read it.
Yeah,
and
who cares?
That was it. He only got on those shows because he had a PR agency like putting him in all these different shows. But I just remember like the guy has he's literally talking about the negative. By the way, I'm not red pill. I do observe it almost like a news commentator in this space.
Well, yeah.
I'm red pill adjacent maybe.
Yeah.
But I'm sitting there watching this guy who has a protection order against his girlfriend, talking about how he needs to protect, needs to stop all these red pill guys because it's damaging to women, when I'm watching him out there getting hammered and hitting on every girl he saw in Vegas, and he has a protection order against his girlfriend. Like, it was literally the most hypocritical, ironic shit I've ever seen. And then I look and there's the London Times writing an article about me.
Insane.
And then he ends up talking to my friends about this, and he's like, yeah, I'm sorry about this or whatever, because the dude's a snake. Like he's
a grifter. I mean, that's a grifter. Yeah.
And then he goes, well, the editor actually wanted me to even go harder on you. And I'm like, you're already lying. Yeah. Like, what is the point? So, but when you said that whole thing about Rolling Stone, writing that about you, my first thought was like, oh, and then you didn't sue. I was like, I thought the same thing. I was like, I can't prove damages here. It actually made everything better for me in the end.
Well, I could prove damages because I got fired.
Right.
And ultimately, I think that what they did was take things I said and then add their own context to it. Because like when the journalist reached out to me, first of all, in your
thank God they reached out to you.
Oh, they'd have to.
This clown, and no, they didn't reach out to me.
Well, that's you should sue him for
that. Because it's an excerpt from a book, so they didn't. It wasn't an actual article, so that got around. They didn't even reach out to me. And look, one of the most cowardice things I've ever seen, that they just wrote this, and then I just started reading it, and I was like, and my friends wrote it, and I was like, these are all lies, obviously, but like it doesn't really make you look that bad. Yeah. The problem was there was a shooting back in 2012. This guy named Elliot Rogers who shot up a bunch of people, and they put him right after me in this article. Like somehow I wasn't even on the internet in 2012. I wasn't even, and they're like comparing us. I'm like, how in the do you get away with this? Like, this is crazy. Like, how do you sleep at night working for and you do this, but like you said before, nothing came of it. I don't go anywhere and people bring up the article. In your case, they were, because Rolling Stones wrote that article about it.
Yeah, it was pretty wild. I mean, it also was like disseminated to all the other like agency news groups and
that happened
all over Yahoo News. And it was like crazy. I had friends reaching out to me, but at the time I was like, this is getting kind of crazy. But I'm kind of glad I stuck to my guns, and like I kind of said that like I didn't sue them, and in the end there wasn't really much actionable. I mean, I guess I could tried, and I just didn't really see the outcome. They weren't gonna really pay me anything, I don't think. So whatever. In the end, it's like it was really like a great thing for me because it really motivated me to get to the next level. And I already had like built Paralive, like a portion. I had the idea already kind of built out a little bit. But that kind of like drove me to really like get down into like the content and prove a lot of these stupid ideas. So if anything, it was really inspiring. Sometimes hate is inspiring. So
one of the ironies is like when you make the app. So we'll get into this. Parallel Lives kind of makes people think that you're famous when they're watching you. Right. But then out of nowhere you have 1 million followers on TikTok.
Yeah, I got famous.
So it's almost like if you're like a cold approach pickup artist, and then you get so famous that you can't do cold approach anymore because every girl knows who you are. Oh wow. It was like one of these situations in your situation where it was like you got famous for making an app that made other people famous. Yeah. And then it probably gets to a point where if a girl sees that there's 70,000 people watching you, and then she sees that you have 1 million followers on TikTok, it looks legitimate now.
Oh, it looks legitimate, but you know, it's so fascinating. People ask me this question every time I make a video about Paralive. People ask me this question, and it's the same question, like, what happens when they try to look you up, Ethan? Like, what happens? And I know for me, I'm probably fine, but for the average person, like, what do you say? I say, this is all you have to say, okay? If a girl is asking you to look up your Instagram and you're using my app Paralive, I guess we should tell them what the app is.
Yeah, tell them what the app is.
Paralive is the app I made. I moved to Miami during COVID, and I couldn't believe how stupid this idea of Clout was. People just like would change their personalities based on whether or not you had followers or not. So this is a very stupid concept. But I said, okay, well, I can make a fake version. Like I come from a computer science background, cybersecurity. So this is nothing more than like a phishing attack where you get like a login screen, but it's not actually your bank login. It's a fake login. Same concept. This is not a real live stream. It's a fake live stream that has the same like layouts of what you would expect on a real one. And it makes it look like you have 50,000 viewers and the comments are rolling in. So I would go out in Miami with this like fake live stream and people would lose their mind. Absolutely. Girls would go crazy. It's insane. And they would want to look me up, right? And I didn't really know what to say at the time because I didn't have a lot of followers when I first started doing this. So I would tell them, I'm like, oh, this is Twitch. And I've learned every hot girl, like everyone knows of Twitch, but no hot girl has an account.
You can't. So when attractive women try to play video games on Twitch and there's any cleavage or whatever, they get banned instantly.
Okay.
Because Twitch is for very young kids. So Twitch is Twitch is more strict than TikTok.
I think that the reason, I think everyone like knows of Twitch, but like I think like most girls that you meet out that are hot, they're not going to be on Twitch watching Twitch, right? So that was like my whole thing. I'm like, oh yeah, it's just Twitch. I'm like, oh, that's super cool. Okay, wow. And then then it's just insane, and we can get into what happens. But it was just like absolutely crazy. So yeah, that was. Wait, what was the question?
So again, creating parallel lives.
Oh yeah,
and then seeing like it actually ended up making you famous.
Oh yeah, so it was absolutely insane. So here's like kind of how it went. Like I'd pull out the app, girls would go crazy. I'd make these videos recording from like the app's perspective, and ultimately like I started getting like a little bit of fame, but. I'm more well known for the WitchTok stuff, believe it or not. But the Paralive is actually like, if I go anywhere, a lot of guys know about the app, but still, this is like a testament to the algorithms. Like, literally, no girls know about it. I mean, the only girls who know about it are those who live in like LA, Miami, and I would say just about them.
Yeah, and
they're already in the nightlife scene, or maybe someone's already used the app on them. Yeah. But if you go anywhere else in America, they don't know. It's really surprising. And this is a little like a little bit secret. If you go to Europe, they lose their mind.
Oh, I'm sure.
In Europe, specifically, if I pull out the fake live stream, the European mind cannot comprehend. They're like sidelining, like they don't have influencer fatigue yet. You know, I think the U.S. has influencer fatigue, especially in Miami and L.A. So in Europe, especially, I mean, they just lose their mind. I haven't even tried Asia yet. That's probably a whole nother ball game. But yeah, so that's the app, and I would say I get recognized more for the witch stuff and the Paralive. But people know the app without knowing who I am.
Okay, so the thing about it, just to describe to other people, you can pick based on like which subscription you have, how many followers it looks like are watching you. Yeah. And then the thing that actually makes it just even more more persuasive is the fact that you use ChatGPT.
Yeah.
In order to make the comments,
I did
respond to you. So you have 5,000 people, or 50,000, or 70,000 people writing comments to you, and based on listening to what you're saying, and then you also had separate keys in there that would make them agree with you or disagree with you.
That was crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, it was one of those things where it was a truly like interesting like social experiment, because you could see the change up in like people's interaction with you. And I would say guys and girls too. Like guys would invite me to their tables because they thought that I was going to bring more girls, because I was like this influencer guy that they thought, or had this massive following of live streamers, even when I didn't have the following, right? And I would say like adding ChatGPT to the product, initially it was like a static text where it was just like hard coded. It's the audience is going to say certain things. Now now that it's dynamic, the app actually sees you. The AI bots actually react to you. Yeah. That became an actual business at that point, because we have millions and millions of users, but they're not all guys using it to like prank their friends and get laid. They're actually using it to like it's like younger people who just like want virtual friends. Yeah. And this was a unexpected turn. Like, I did not see this coming, but a lot of users are actually younger guys and girls will do their makeup and they'll talk to their fans. And this is like a very interesting path that we've kind of developed into. And
it's like the AI girlfriend, but for like maybe a younger girl. Yeah. Who like now it looks like she has 7,000 people watching.
They know it's not real.
I mean, she knows it's not real, but when she says stuff, it says stuff back to her. In like a response to her, like a big group of her friends or fans. Yeah. I can see the appeal of that, especially if you have never had real clout
or friends
or real friends. I can definitely see the appeal of that for working. But when you mentioned that, it was like 13 to 17-year-olds.
Yeah, huge population, a huge demographic of our users, and also parents wanting their kids to use this over real social media where there's actual cyberbullying. Yeah, there's no cyberbullying on this platform, so we haven't added that feature yet. Maybe we should, but just kidding. These kids
up the B button for bullying.
You didn't pay us. Okay, we're for bullying you.
That's hilarious.
I had this idea of like the AI audience would learn you and like become like your friends, and you have like your top like Erica or Jessica is your top fan or something, and she has like a certain personality. And then I had this idea of like, oh, like your free trial's about to end. We're about to wipe their memories, and you see like Jessica, like, please don't have me wiped. I'm just an AI bot.
She's like calling you.
Yeah, and you're like, the kid's like, I don't have any money. I don't know what to do here. But no, I didn't add that feature. But maybe in the future.
Okay, so two questions I have. One is then you would add another feature where they can send you money That's number one.
Well, it's a simulation.
Yeah, it's a simulation. It's not real money, but for the people watching, it looks like you're getting donations, right? Number one. Yeah. And then number two, can you give for me, like, the one that I show my clients often is the TikTok girl. You're walking outside, and there's some girl that she says she has more followers than you. Okay. And he goes, no, I have more followers. And then you show her, and this girl goes from this hoity-toity, this is an attractive girl. Yeah. She goes from this hoity-toity, full of attitude, I think I'm better than you, and then sees how many people are following you, and like her reality cracks. I can't even explain it. And then she is like in love with you in 1 second. Oh my God, Can you think of like some of the, because I don't think people understand unless you watch the videos how crazy it is. What are some of the reactions, like girls grinding on you in front of their boyfriends?
I can give you one that's really crazy.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, like, I do all of this just to like get the video mainly. I don't like actually pursue any of these women. I just, for sure, it's not my thing.
I mean, how could you? Like, if you did, it would be disastrous.
Yeah, I just don't.
You're dealing with a high stimulus, disastrous woman to begin with.
It's almost like a filter in a way.
Yes, exactly.
Of women, yeah. I just do it for the content, and a lot of times I usually almost always get their approval because they think it's funny. And
so then, afterwards, you would get their approval and then post it.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I have a problem with like posting someone on the internet and like 20 million people seeing them and like roasting them. So I do my best. But I did not get this girl approval, but I didn't like her either, so it's fine. There was I was in Europe again, and I was in Spain, Madrid. It's probably like a year ago.
Your family's Spanish.
Yeah, my mom's from Spain.
Yeah.
So it was probably very recent. It was actually a year ago, so it wasn't so recent. But I'm at this club, and I pull out the app, and of course, girls are like, "Oh my God, wow, this is crazy!" I have so much footage I don't post that is just like insane. And then one of these girls like sees me. She comes up to me, and she's like talking to me, and I can tell she's really into it. Okay, so what I do when a girl's really into it, I start pulling away. I'm like, "Oh, like I gotta go. Like I really don't want to hang out here anymore." And she follows me outside. I'm getting a cab. I'm actually about to leave. I actually wanted to leave. I didn't feel like making content. And she like, I have a video of it. She comes up to me. She's like, "No, like let's go for a walk or whatever." So we go for a walk, and I have the app the whole time. I'm talking to my fans, and she's like, "How much money do you make off this?" And I look at her. I go, "I make millions live streaming." And she's like, "Oh, wow." And she's like from Mexico. And I go, "Wait." She kisses me, and I go, "Wait, you have a ring on your finger. Are you engaged?"
You made a video about this. I remember this. Yes, I remember this.
This is insane. And I go, she's like, "Yeah, but he was mad at me today, and he's at the hotel." I'm like, "Oh my God, you're insane. You're actually insane."
Yeah.
And she proceeded to like kiss me. And at that point, usually I don't kiss girls on the lips. I think like I'll let them kiss me on the cheek or something. Yeah. I usually don't make out with girls.
Notice you have to give this disclaimer. Because for those of you who are watching this, he has to give this disclaimer because almost every time he uses this app, the women that are there who don't know him at all start trying to kiss him. It's so crazy when you consider this. Again, we'll go, just hold that thought. There's a guy who impersonated Lionel Messi. Have you seen this? He looks exactly like Lionel Messi.
Okay. No, I haven't seen it.
He slept with 23 women impersonating Lionel Messi, and then the women wanted to sue him because he impersonated Lionel Messi. And my whole thing is, first off, how do you think status is real? Yeah. Obviously. And number two is like, why can't Lionel Messi's wife then sue them? Right? Because you had sex with a married man knowing that he was married. It's just so crazy to me. And now I talk about this stuff right here. Yeah. The girl is like losing her shit. And then normal girl, and my favorite thing, we're going to do this tonight on the show. Yeah. Because I'm going to show some of your videos. Sure. And then I'm going to ask the girls, "Hey, would this ever work on you?" And of course, you know the answer. Yeah. None of them will say it will work on them. And then we'll ask them, "Will this work on any of your friends?" And all of them will raise their hand. And you'll see what I'm talking about, how everyone here's the other reason why you probably don't get that many complaints. It's the same reason why like guys who get rolled by prostitutes don't tell anyone. They can't call the cops, because what happens if you call the cops and tell the cops you got rolled by a prostitute? Yeah. Well, because they're like, "Oh, what were you doing in this hotel room with this prostitute?" Or guys who lose all their money in poker, they never tell anyone because they don't want to admit, or lose all their money from sports betting. It's like the girls are like, if they do this and they fall for it, they're either going to be like, have enough cognitive dissonance to be like, "Oh, this never happened to me," or it's going to be a situation where like, I'm not telling anybody that I fell for this. Right. Or what's most likely happen is that you post a video, it goes viral, and then you basically faked it till you made it.
Yeah, I mean, I in this scenario with this girl, I just posted it because what happened next is crazy, because I guess she was so upset about me saying, I don't know how it spiraled, but we were just walking, and then she started getting crazy. Like, this person is a crazy girl, and I was like, "I think I'm gonna leave now," and she's like saying crazy I'm gonna tell the police you kidnapped me. Like literally, I have it on
video.
You're
on video, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, you're nuts. And I'm like, I gotta get out of here. So I left. And I just posted the video.
It's a good thing you filmed it.
Yeah,
that sounds like borderline personality disorder. Yeah,
she said it was the exact words were, if we were in Mexico, where I'm from, I'd have you killed.
Yeah,
I was just like, all right, I should probably leave now. Yeah, this goes psycho.
So this goes to my next question here. 7 times you applied, and the App Store.
Yeah, this is crazy.
I truly don't understand how this doesn't violate TOS. Okay. But then you made a really great point, which was basically this was an educational platform for people to practice live streaming, and the other content was the other part of it was people wanted to just have friends like without cyberbullying.
Yeah,
and you got it approved.
I would say like the 7 times application was like this. 7 times applied is anytime you're in a new category. I created a new category for like live streaming as a simulation. It didn't exist before, right? So yeah, I made some videos to market it in a funny way, but the users for the most part have always been dynamic and like not just guys. We have like 25% of our users are female, right?
Yeah.
So I think whenever like. In the beginning, they definitely saw this as like a joke product, right? Yeah. Now there's a whole category of tons of clones, of copycats of mine, or different versions of my product. But yeah, I mean, in the end, like whenever you're the first to a market, you're going to have like pushback, or you're going to have people be like think that this is like weird or wrong. And you just got to have like, I don't know, some confidence and just like push through it. And I 7 times I was rejected. I remember just like stressing out, like this is so good. Oh, it was because my video was going viral. So I was like, I gotta catch this wave of traffic. Yeah, because like all these people are trying to download my app and it doesn't exist on the App Store. Eventually, it was approved, and the rest is history. But yeah, you gotta have like tenacity. Don't just give up on the first failure.
You brought up a great point. The thing that gave you the inspiration for it was some kid who changed the HTML on a
that's right.
on a web version of his Instagram and gave himself way more followers than he had, which got him into a club. And it actually, in my program at the very end, it's called we have a module called "Who the Fuck Is This Guy?" And you have to talk your way into some place you're not allowed to be. So that's backstage at a conference or in the VIP of a nightclub or whatever. And this is what you're talking about is one of the ways, right? He changed how many followers he had, and then you did that, which kind of gave you the inspiration for this app. But one of the things that is always surprising to me is how many people think that this wouldn't work on them, or how many people are surprised that this works so well. I will even take it one step further. But when I first started the podcast, I think I had like 18,000 subs, but it was from a video that I had created that got 7 million views of a bunch of hot girls. It had nothing to do with my podcast. Just happened to use the same channel. And when I posted it, the fact that I had a podcast was getting me into places. And they didn't even check to see how many followers I had. It's like, it's not even a lot of clout. It's not even any evidence. Like, if you and I were dealing with a guy, we'd go to Social Blade. We'd check out when he got his followers. We'd check out every single platform to see if he was full of shit.
Tell in 5 seconds.
And tell in 5 seconds if he was bull. But like you deal with these other people, and it's like any sniff of clout, and they're like, "Here's a free bottle." And I had a buddy of mine in San Diego. He used your app, got free comps for a bunch of stuff online, and he actually he was like, "Yo, I can't post this because I don't want to get kicked out of this club."
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess can you talk about that? It was just like this concept of. The first time you used it, you said you were nervous. Can you talk about like that first time and like wondering how effective this would be, and then seeing it was probably 10 times more effective than you actually thought?
Yeah, I think the first time I used it, was, I think I remember. I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, okay, SLS, Miami, the pool party area. You know what I'm talking about?
Of course.
Yeah.
That's where we throw Babes in Toyland. We used to throw Babes in Toyland there. Yeah.
So I went there and I was invited. I forget who invited me, but I never been to a place like that. And it was like, I was like, dude, everyone that I've ever seen on Instagram is here at this party. It was insane. This is like 2021. So this was still brand new to me. And I pull it out, and I don't have like the charisma or the I haven't like worked out all the kinks on how to do it. Like I just kind of like pulled it out. And it kind of just like worked on its own, because I remember there was like this guy, these brothers with their younger sister, and they were pretty much like offering the younger sister to me at this point. I was like, this is insane. I actually became friends with them in the end, and I felt bad, so I told them at the party, like later on, like, by the way, I make content, and this is like an app I made, And they were so like, they loved it. They thought it was the funniest thing ever.
Because you stimulated them.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. It's like very rarely, I think, are you going to find people that are upset unless you literally pursued an entire relationship.
Yeah,
then
crazy.
They would be upset.
Yeah. Also, like, they thought it was really funny, and I ended up going to the guy's wedding, so it was really like hilarious. And I might have like kissed her like little sister. Like she was like 25, I think. Yes. So like that was the worst of it.
25. That's age appropriate for all you wokies who are sitting here watching us.
Yeah, little sister I guess does sound like kind of young. Yeah.
25 is.
I was like 29, so it wasn't so bad. But yeah, I mean, like that was my first time using it, and then I like learned new things. I guess you could say like they care a lot. People watching, like you can kind of command somebody through the audience. So that's something I kind of uncovered, where if I'm like with a bunch of girls and I want them to do something, I'm like, guys, do you think these girls should make out? And then the AI audience, someone donates $10 and it comes up on the screen, like a Twitch, you know, $10 donated, and someone goes, yes, do it. And like by command, I mean, they'll just start making out. I was actually walking down, I think like in Hollywood Beach in Florida, there was like a street preacher, and he was like arguing with people, and like I'm not very like militant in my like atheism. I just like think some ideas are stupid. I'll challenge them. I was just curious, so I pulled out the app. I'm like, guys, what do you guys think about this? And I would tell them my perspective, and everyone's like, yeah, Ethan, you're right. I'm like, look, 50,000 people disagree with you, and this street preacher who was like already giving all these people problems and was like starting to sweat, like he could feel it, like he was having some issues, and that just shows that like the male, or not the male, but like the human element is such like a social species, and like we can be pressured by peers, and harnessing that was like a crazy power that I kind of unlocked. I mean, it really did feel like like I was like, this is outrageous. I mean, I can control people now.
Yeah.
And I kind of like took that idea, and like I almost wondered like what more elite political people think and how they view the world. And it was like, wow, like this is kind of like a glimpse into that.
Well, we did last November 6th, we did an election night Access Vegas show. And I went and tried to reach out. I am conservative, but I'm slightly right of center. I'm not that conservative. And I reached out to my audience and I was like, hey, I need some liberal females to come on the show. No one. Crickets. I couldn't find anyone. And then and everything, every news report that I was seeing on my feed was Trump's going to win in a landslide. Trump's going to destroy them. All this kind of stuff. And I was like, yo, that's weird. Like, it doesn't seem like fair and balanced. What's going on here? Then I have a friend of mine who I did a live stream with the day before the election, that Monday the 5th, and he's very politically liberal. And he came on there and said, yeah, I think Kamala has about a 75% chance of winning. And I'm like, yo, 75%? I wasn't mad at him. I was like, what information are you seeing that I'm not seeing? And then I realized I'm literally in a cocoon of my own algorithm that my algorithm has chosen for me. And he's literally in another cocoon. We found two girls who were liberal to come on the show. It wasn't through social media. I just happened to know that these women were Democrats. I had them come on the show, and they had the same impression that 100% Kamala was going to win. And so now I think about your app and like how that social pressure of seeing people agree with you and how that can influence other people, and now how this algorithm. So one of the things I started doing is I started watching the Young Turks, MSNBC. I started subscribing to them on my Instagram so that they would stop giving me the feed of that everything, like trying to create this echo chamber where everything I kind of believed was like super true or whatever. And so when I watch that, when I watch your app and I see this like influence on normal people, I'm like, yo, what if we did the, what would the echo chamber that these social media apps create? What could that do to change people's opinion? And I think that's what we see now.
Yeah, I mean I've seen it firsthand. Then I guess and I guess you have as well. It's really bizarre ultimately, but like that, I think like in the end we're wired a certain way. Like humans are wired to react in certain ways. And that hasn't changed. Like what I created was just like a reaction to what celebrities deal with like for forever, right? And in a small sense, like I was getting a glimpse of it. This is actually going towards, and you'll probably agree with this, it's like against the red pill argument, which is kind of like, oh, women are a certain way and, they are like spoiled brats or whatever. But you take a male celebrity who was like rich as a young kid and he's like kind of the same way.
Yeah, I say this all the time. Trust fund kids, guys who are super good looking, they're exactly as entitled as women.
The super like trust fund kids, yes, but like the super good looking guys. Yeah. Very minimal personality.
Yes.
And they didn't have to really, and they're not funny. They're not funny at all.
It's like being 7 feet tall in the NBA versus being 5'11" and playing in the NBA. The guy who's 5'11" has to have so much more of a skill set.
Right.
Being 7 feet tall is like being born rich.
Yeah.
And it's the other part that's crazy. And I mean, you're not this much into the dating space, but watching outrageously good-looking male model dating coaches give men the advice to just go be themselves.
Yeah,
it's
crazy.
An epidemic, and they go viral because it's what people want to hear.
Right.
And women love them because they want guys who look like that to come approach them.
Right.
So when guys who look like that say, go approach women and just be yourselves, the women are like, but yet 95% of men don't look like that. And so there's this big group of men who are being told to just be themselves, and they're walking directly into a bear trap.
Or just be a better version of yourself.
But that's not being yourself.
Yeah.
Of course, what you're saying is 100% true, but that's not being yourself.
Right.
If I lose 50 pounds, you can't say I'm being myself.
No.
If I give up nicotine, if I give up marijuana, if I stop playing video games all the time, if I give up pornography, if I get into really good shape, if I become a better speaker, if I make more money, if I create a scalable business, I'm not being myself.
Right.
Period. There's no way to argue that. Yep. And so like that's why it's such terrible advice. Then when you see guys that are not that good looking who end up giving dating advice, they agree with me. It's like, no, dude, you got to level up. That's it. It's status. It's a status game.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I guess like I never really like was into the whole like dating and like the pickup stuff. Like I kind of like watched a little bit as a kid. That guy Owen.
Owen's one of my best friends. Yeah,
I watched like some of his stuff like in the early days, like when I was younger. And there's a few things to this day that I definitely have like picked up that were kind of way like artificial in a sense. Like for example, if I ever go on a date with a girl, I pick them up physically at some point. Like if we're vibing, we're dancing, I physically pick them up, right? And I like big girls sometimes, okay? It's a little bit of like, I live in Miami, I like a little thick Latino every once in a while. My last girlfriend was not like that, but I went on a date maybe not too long ago with a girl, and she told me she was 180 pounds, okay? But when you see this girl, you would be like, yeah, this girl is like, she's curvy, okay? And I physically picked her up at some point during the date. I'm like, you're light. And I throw them up. I do this for any girls in fitness. You know, girls who are in fitness, they always think they're like dense. Just pick them up and I curl them. And I said, you're so little, you're so tiny. Every girl wants to be told they're tiny. Every girl wants to be told they're small.
That's true.
And this is just a reality of just like women like as a whole. So I think Owen said something like that and picked them up. And I was like, that's always been like one or two things I've always incorporated.
What I appreciate is that you pick them up, but not try to be it in a romantic way. You're just saying, hey, you're tiny, and you're basically showing I'm pretty strong.
Yeah,
I think the problem is the guys who would pick them up and then spin them around like they're in some musical or whatever.
Kiss them. Oh
try to kiss them. That part was crazy to me. But what does this tell you? What does this expose to you about humanity in general? Seeing this level of reaction from just like this level of clout.
I think that it just one thing. I think this has always been the case. Nothing has changed, right?
Yeah. So have you read any books on evolutionary psychology?
No, I mean I took a evolution class.
Probably evolutionary biology at Drexel. Yeah. I'll recommend some books to you. You'll read them, and you're going to be, especially Evolution of Desire, and you're going to be like, holy shit. There's actual data. Yeah. Men who bully more in high school have more sexual partners. Women who get bullied in high school have more sexual partners. It's like you'll see this data, and then you'll see they'll go over like status hierarchies, and they'll compare it to chimpanzees, and you're like, wow, it all looks exactly like what you're describing, but from a scientific academic standpoint.
Yeah, the relation to like chimpanzees has always been fascinating. I think like Joe Rogan's really big on that. Like he's always been.
That's why there's a monkey on his logo. Yeah, hairless murder apes. That's what he feels like we are.
Oh wow, that's crazy. I don't know. I think like looking at like the reality of fact of like how people have always been. Like my takeaway is, in a weird sense, like all of this is true. Here's a way of proving it, and like you can take an ugly short guy and instantly make him a king. And I was able to demonstrate that through my product. So. I think for me at least, I was like, this is all like real. This is like the data behind all this is obviously true, and my app was a way of proving it.
So have you seen Clavicular go? He's gone mainstream for going off about looks maxing, right? And when
looks maxing, by the way, was a concept that I should have made an app for. Oh my god, I missed that one so badly. I was like, I remember thinking to myself, like maybe in like college, like I wonder what a perfect version of my face would look like. It was like this, like kind of like. I guess they call it like some sort of like incel like Reddit group that like would allow you to like have yourself reviewed. I never did it, but I saw it. I thought that was interesting, right? Yeah. I never did it. But when I saw the look maxing concept, I was like, that's good. I could tell that app was going to do so well because whenever you make a viral product, you need to be able to like convince a certain level of your audience that there is like this really obvious attainable like value, right? Sure. So with look maxing, I remember you could just like pay a small amount of money and it's going to give you like your best looking version of yourself.
You can do that on FaceApp and Facetune now.
Yeah, you can do it now, right?
For free.
But in 2023, this is when I first saw it.
Yeah.
And I thought that made a lot of sense. And I remember like all you had to do was take someone's photo and say, look, you could always be better. And here's you could say, oh, your rating was actually a 6 out of 10 or a 5 out of 10. Like, and here's what you can do just to be an 8. And like, that makes like this from the sales perspective, that's like so easy to sell.
There's girls who go to Istanbul, Turkey. That's like kind of the social, that's kind of the plastic surgery capital of the world now for like rhinoplasty and BBLs and stuff like that. And they'll actually go on FaceApp and Facetune, and they'll edit their face and their body, and then go to the doctor and say, "This is what I want to look like." It used to be the other way around. The doctor,
all the girls look the same now when they get the work done.
Exactly right. They all have the same nose. But yeah, so the clavicular is the whole idea, and he's going viral for this. Is the concept that like it's only looks, nothing else matters. Status isn't really that big of a deal. And of course, what he said, but he's 20 years old. Like he doesn't know any better. But it's one of these things where it's like, I've been able to date so far. Sorry, 1 second. I've been able to date so far out of my league, and you've gotten these reactions from women like instant because of status. And the idea that status trumps looks is so obvious to anybody who's used both. But for him, because he's so good looking, again, he's the 7 foot tall guy playing center in the NBA, telling everyone else to be 7 feet tall. And so that for him, in his reality, being that good looking, getting women, he's correct. But for everyone else, that wouldn't work.
But the thing is, I truly believe this, that like people will ultimately believe what makes them feel better.
Yes,
and they'll lie to themselves to make them feel better. Right?
The warm blanket of victimhood. Yes,
yeah, exactly. So like with clavicular, and I've only seen a little bit of his stuff. He reminds me of like the guys who are like, yeah, they're good looking, but if you have friends with girls that like they get so bored of these guys, they think they're the worst. I'm not saying like they're the worst, like they keep hooking up with them. They get disgusted with some guys very quickly. I think like that. I have a friend. He has a British accent, right? That lasts about like 30 seconds, and then when they realize he's kind of a dud and like not that interesting, it's over, right? So I think there's like certain like I guess like genetic or like situational advantages you could have that are very temporary. If you're not like fun and cool and like have like a good friend group, I tell people ask me, I'm not in the dating space really, but people say, Ethan, how do I get more girls? How do I get more girls? I go, make better guy friends. If you have a great group of guy friends doing cool shit, you're gonna have plenty of cool girls around you, and it's like you all will naturally just like level up, I guess you could say. Yeah. And I don't like to think of it like a game, like there's levels to this, but like in a way, I guess like society there is, and make better guy friends. So if you're not good looking, or if you don't work on yourself, there's always like we all know of the guy who's like kind of like ugly, but he's in the friend group and he goes to all the cool parties and he's getting laid. Yes. It's so true.
Yeah. There's again evolutionary data on this where people when they knew each other. There's one study where they go people when they first met and they start dating immediately, that you tend to have really good looking women with really good looking men. There was a correlation, it was about 0.72. When at 4 or 5 months, the correlation got cut in half, and at 9 months, the correlation was 0, meaning you had guys who were like a 5 dating a girl who was a 10. And so what this concept is in psychology is taking women from an unfamiliar environment to a familiar environment. In an unfamiliar environment, you're right. The guy who has who's won the genetic lottery, he is going to do better than you. Chad and Tyrone, they're going to do better. But in the long term, like you said before, the guy who can show humor and charisma and has a personality, he's going to go do better. But if you're one of those really good looking guys, you only see it from your standpoint. Like he legitimately, I was listening to Clavicular say something like, women don't love you if you're below a 7. Like they're incapable of loving you. And I was like, this is madness, bro.
He's targeting an audience. Like he's selling a product, but he's himself, right?
He's targeting an audience that now he's giving them an excuse why they're bad with women because they don't believe they're a 7.
Right.
And he's so it seems like he's doing good by telling guys to get in shape. But what he's actually doing is telling guys who have no success with women, hey, wink, wink, this is really why you don't have success with women, because it's a conspiracy against you. And the guys are like, yeah, thank you for proving this to me. Yeah, and it's like, it sucks because you and I know it isn't true. Yeah. If you go to a club and I have a bunch of girls coming up to me and kissing me on the cheek in front of a girl who thinks I'm a 4, she's going to be more attracted to me. It's not me who's saying this. Oklahoma State did a study on this. Texas Tech did a study on this. Southwestern University did a study on this. The Royal Society did a study on this. It is conclusive that this is true. And yet at the same time, we still have guys out there being like, well, looks are everything, or women are all a bunch of gold-digging 304 who all they care about is transactional shit. And my response is, yes, they're 304 to you. To you, they're 304. To guys who have status, they're the most wonderful, angelic women you can imagine.
Well, on that point, though, the girls coming up to you and kissing you on the cheek, I wouldn't want that, though. I think that would almost like a good girl wouldn't like that. I feel like, and I don't know, like maybe I only date good girls, but if a girl comes up to me, I'd rather say, oh, no, I'm with somebody.
I don't think a good girl would have a problem with women being attracted to you.
Oh no, that's important, but
being attracted, but
push them away.
For guests,
push them away.
We're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
The kiss on the cheek is an extreme example.
Yeah.
What I mean is when I'm with a girl, good girl or not good girl, if she sees other women are attracted to me, I think the effect is ubiquitous.
Oh, when I was at Toys in Babeland or whatever, Babes in Toyland, the party, awesome party, by the way, my first time going. I brought a girl with me and some other friends as well. And I remember being there, and a girl that knew me from social media, a different girl that knew me from social media, came up to me, and we're just like, "Oh, Ethan, I've seen your videos." I'm like, "Oh yeah, like I think we follow each other, but we never spoke in person." And she's like, "I'm actually looking for some friends. Here, come with me." And I'm like, "Oh, I can't. Like, I'm actually with a girl." And I just remember that dynamic just being like, that person still like likes everything I do. Like she's like hooked now. And I was like, that's so fascinating. Like, just because I wasn't gonna go with you. I mean, I'm sure that if I went with her and hung out with her the whole night, like who knows where it would have went. But I was with somebody, and out of respect for them, I'm not gonna do that. Like, I'm not a bad person like that. And the girl, I actually ended up dating her, so it was, in my opinion, worth it. But it's just kind of interesting, like how that works. Is that because I said no for a genuine reason, they didn't like get discouraged like maybe a guy would, you know?
So there's that mechanism, but here's the other mechanism. You, in comparison to every other guy she interacts with, every other guy is following her around, even if he is on a date. You see, it makes sense?
Yeah.
So like, and it's becoming, because, OnlyFans does $7 billion in revenue, it's becoming more desperate, and she's getting more validation from more men who would immediately acquiesce to what she says. And so the contrast between all those men and you is even more stark. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, in comparison to 99% of men she encounters in Miami, even men who have Bugattis and millions of dollars, they're throwing it at her in desperation to try to get her attention. And you said no.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, you saying no probably would have had an effect in 1980. In 2026, you saying no is like the most shocking thing she's ever discovered in her life. A man said no to me? Like, do you see how much money I make on OF and Sex Panther? Like, I can't believe any man would say no to me because of this massive level of desperation and this huge group of men that are being left behind.
Well, I definitely in my head played out what yes would have looked like, and it looked pretty awesome, but I said no, and I stuck to it. So yes. I did.
That's what threesomes are for. Anyway, so here's my next question. So you did spend a lot of time working in computer engineering.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence, like my chief marketing officer in my company, he is not a coder, but has been able to come up with magnificent code based on using different LLMs.
Yeah.
What do you think the future, like, could you have recreated parallel lives just using voice prompts now, or are we to the point where, because I see there's this talk about a lot of coders going to lose their jobs in the next few years because of how proficient artificial intelligence has gotten.
Yeah, I agree. I think it will happen. And it's good for me because as someone who's like, I think I'm very creative. I can come up with really good app ideas.
You have both sides. You can code and you're
market,
creative. And you're good at marketing.
Yeah, and I think it's like, I know the human element pretty well. I know what drives like desire and consumption. So for me, I see this as opportunity because my costs now have gone, like I have a new product that I'm launching very shortly. I think it's going to be $1 billion business. We'll see. But I like when I built Paralive, I knew I'd make money, but I didn't think it was going to be like $1 billion business.
Yeah.
With this one, I think it could be. And I hired a team in India, and my fear was like, a team in India, the classic argument is like, they're not going to be as talented, they're not as good as the U.S. counterparts. But with AI, you're paying them $25 an hour, and you're getting like high level code out of it. And like pretty much like I could do it all myself, but if I did it all myself, I'd still be slower. Even with AI, you're gonna be slower than 5 Indians with AI as opposed to Ethan with AI, right? And my ability as a proficient engineer who worked at TikTok, which is like a pretty high standard, they interview pretty tough. So me coming from that kind of demonstrates how good I was or I am. Still 5 engineers with AI are gonna outperform me, even with AI. So I think that I think in third world countries, they're going to have like offshore developing will be actually feasible for large companies. And I also think that like the costs per engineer will go down in the US, kind of like similar to like European rates, which is like insanely low. Like $100,000 a year for an engineer is actually really cheap in the US, but in Europe, it's very common. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, in a small sense, I kind of like the idea of like slightly autistic engineers being less cocky. I think that's pretty cool. Like in San Francisco, I can't stand the people there sometimes. Sorry if I have any like San Francisco followers or whatever watching this, but they have this like air about them of like they were kind of like nerdy their whole life, which is fine. I was nerdy too. They graduate college, and for the first time in their life, they get a little power because now they're in San Francisco where that's appreciated.
Yeah.
And they just like make their entire life and every conversation about like coding. So I hope that kind of goes away because I don't like that side of tech.
Yeah, the creative guy is going to be able to make voice
The
prompts.
idea guy.
The idea guy is going to be sitting there and be like, he's going to tell the LLM, hey, do this. And then it's going to come out 80% right. He's like, well, that looks good, but do this instead. And having a conversation back and forward while he's sitting on his phone, he's going to be able to develop an app, right? Oh, what I'm saying he's going to. They're doing this now.
Right now, yeah.
This is happening right now. And so like what's happened, what I think AI is going to do is it gives everyone like 40 IQ points. So what happens is the creative guy who can't keep up with the technical guy, now he doesn't have this disadvantage anymore.
Right.
And now he has basically the technical guy in his pocket. And so now the creative guy can be more creative. And I think that's where what happens is AI actually is sort of the rebirth of the artistic, theatrical guy. Now I think that's what happens, or the more creative guy. I think that's where they benefit.
I think having a deep understanding of like human nature gives you opportunity to like most products are actually just a recreation of an existing product that was 10 years prior, but applied in a different light or with different marketing, right? So like, for example, the T app, that was just Lulu in 2012, was an app called Lulu.
Yeah.
And you could rate men, and you could, they were really smart about how they did it. You could assign like hashtag wandering eye, hashtag, and you give them a score out of 10, like what their sex was, personality was, whatever. But there was never a free comment because they didn't want to get any trouble. And they were acquired, and then they disappeared. That was it. So, when T came out, I said, oh, that's just Lulu from 10 years prior.
Yes.
And then they got in all kind of trouble because they had this free response option, which was, very risky. So the point of all this is that like a lot of times to build a successful business, you don't need to build $1 billion business. Like Paralive made me millions of dollars, but I didn't have any investors. I just did it myself. So the point of all this is like sometimes a good concept with with creative marketing is enough. And it doesn't have to be a $10 billion company.
And the guy who's waiting for the perfect opportunity to get the perfect coders and the perfect marketing, you don't have to wait anymore.
No.
You can just like make good content, create a following, and then you can code on your own. Like the barrier to entry for all of this is just getting less and less. One of the things I thought I loved was you were really trying to help people out with the firearm app, and then nobody wanted to use it.
Crazy, yeah. I mean, that's like people give me all the time. They're like, "Oh, you make You have all this skill set and you use it for like nefarious purposes," which first of all, I don't think they are. But yeah, so I did two things that I thought were useful. I spent 5 years of my life out of college building like an education product, an AI advisor that would try to like help minority students not fail out of college because they fail at a disproportionate rate. That was the hardest business I ever ran. I did all the cold calling myself. Like I built the product, I had a team. And we ultimately failed when COVID came, and it was a good thing because it was never going to be successful. But then I built the next product was this product to try and, long story short, right now in the U.S., if you buy a firearm, you can't. The government doesn't get to like put your information in a database.
Yes, there's no federal database for guns.
So what they do is they keep all the forms in like a filing cabinet, essentially, a massive one, like 700 million forms. So they have a team of like people in West Virginia just like going through
at the ATF.
At the ATF search group. Anyway, long story short, I built this AI tool that could essentially read all the files very fast, and we built it in a way that was like compliant with the laws. So it had to be like a it was like an AI controlling a computer that had the files on them or something. And I mean, I built it. The ATF didn't want to buy it. I was going to give it to them for free, actually. But I met with the directors. I won a competition. So it was like cool. And here's another thing. And this is something that people should think of. A lot of great ideas are too early. I think that one was too early. I think if I went back now with a little bit more money, capital, influence, I could probably make something happen. Maybe I will. Maybe the problem no longer exists. Maybe it does. I don't know. But great ideas can happen at any time, and you can be too early. And that happened a lot. Like Paralive was built in 2020, but didn't really go viral till 2023 when AI came out. Yeah. So
the other one was you making fake, like almost HR websites. So when people complain,
oh God, this is. I actually like. I haven't even told this story. Like this one isn't even like I haven't even posted the videos. I have them. I got lazy with my content, I guess. But I made so when I got fired, I thought to myself like, how did I get fired? Oh, they found my LinkedIn and they found out my employer, and then they reached out to them, Cisco, and I got fired. Okay, cool. So what if I like create a fake company? Yeah, everything has to do with fakery, I guess. Create a fake company, and then in my LinkedIn, I made myself an employee there, and then I made some like posts. and these two gay guys from London were very offended by my post about how to know if your partner is cheating. And the video is very innocent. I say, if you want to know if your partner is cheating, just log into the router, the router where your Wi-Fi comes from, and then just see if any other devices have connected to it in history. Yeah, like not everyone connects to the router. Like if a guy's hooking up with a girl, he's not going to connect to the Wi-Fi.
To be fair, you never did it.
I never done this. Yeah, it was just like a thought experiment, right? But it went super viral.
There's another one I saw, but you know the if you have an old iPad or an old AirPod case, it tracks the location like an AirTag.
Oh wow!
You just put it in the back of someone's car, and you can track their car wherever they go. Call Her Daddy was talking about this on one of their episodes.
So funny.
But because it was two women saying it, it wasn't promoting domestic abuse. But when you said
I said it was domestic abuse,
yes.
These two gay guys were the judges of it apparently, and it's so funny because the audience was mostly women. So a lot of times when you make viral content, you probably understand this. Like you actually fall into like a narrative that's already popular. So the crazy girlfriend narrative is already a popular narrative. It's accepted. It's actually considered clean, really. It's like, oh yeah, I do these crazy things, he, right? So these two gay guys like try to get me fired. They reached out to my work. So they went to my LinkedIn. They found my company. It's a real website. They found the HR. They emailed it, but I get all the emails because it's my website. It's not a real company. So then I responded as HR, and I set up a meeting with them to like go over what Ethan's like behaviors were. And I met with him. I have the footage. I haven't even uploaded it yet. You know what happened?
So you didn't turn your camera on and you changed your voice.
I changed my voice and I didn't turn my camera on. Then at the end, I turned my camera on. I said, "Surprise, guys!" And I haven't posted it yet. Maybe I should. But essentially, what happened was they were in shock, but they doubled down, and I got to like talk down to them like a parent. Like, so you believe that like you should silence people who disagree with you simply because you're offended? Is that correct? And like they were just like, well, you were hurting people. Who did I hurt? Tell me, because everyone seemed to be laughing, and they were like, well, we're not going to change our opinion. And I think when I post this, like, I don't know who they are. They probably disappeared. I don't know, but in the end, like it just shows you, like when confronted and like back against the wall, they just double down and they have
religion.
They have no shame.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about this. What they're doing also is defending women's right to cheat and not get caught. That was the part to me. I was like, what? Hold on. But what about the lying? Because I promise you, if we did this the other way around and if it was women figuring out ways for men to cheat, these guys would not have any issue with it. Right?
Oh, finding out how to catch your partner.
Yeah, to me,
I didn't apply a gender.
No, right. But my point is, but in their standpoint, they were only worried about women being the victims of domestic abuse. And my whole thing is like, no, you should whenever there's these techniques to catch your partner cheating. If you ever want to check it out, make a video where you're just like, use an AirTag, blah blah blah, whatever. As soon as you do it, you see these people, these white knights, get into the comments and they're like, this is so immature. And I'm like, no. I want to have a family and have kids with somebody. It's not immature for me to know if they're cheating. They're like, how dare you catch your partner cheating? Like they have the right to cheat on you. And I'm just like, how the audacity of some of these people. That's the part when I heard the story, I was like, yo, even though you're joking. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with a man catching his girl cheating and then not wanting to be with her anymore.
I had a scenario where I was dating a girl and we weren't boyfriend and girlfriend yet, but we were just like in the talking stage. I said, hey, listen, I'm not hooking with anyone else. She said the same thing. And then I found out that she was dishonest, right?
Sure.
And it bothered me, yes. But in my head, I said, okay, well, she wasn't really my girlfriend. Then she actually ended up becoming my girlfriend and like giving her a situation. But I had to like do research to figure this out, and I felt like I don't really go crazy with this stuff. But the way I caught it, I'll just like say it out here, is that she was sharing. She's like sending me a post, like, oh yeah, like sharing this post with me. We're looking at something. I'm like, share this with me. When she hit shared, I looked at like one other guy that was recently shared that she shared things with, and then it was all girls, and her like who do you want to share this with? They shows you like the best ones. I mean, that's weird. Like I've seen this guy. So I was gonna reach out to him, and I didn't. I just kind of like put two and two together. Like, oh, she said she was going to Coachella. He also was in Coachella. Mm-hmm. Oh, she's going here, and he's also there. And then I confronted her on it, and then she came clean with it. And I said, okay, well, we're not technically boyfriend and girlfriend, so I'll allow it. But actually, the lying in the beginning was like
a red flag.
But also it affected because I think if a girl gets caught lying in the beginning, she needs to go above and beyond in the relationship to like at least in the beginning stages to be like, this is I'm honest and I'm clear, I'm in for this. And I guess like in the answer to the question is I think it's okay to like do a little research because in the end it's like your life, it's your time, it's your money, and you want to spend it with someone that I think is going to be honest.
I one time because I had heard this from other people. Well, actually, I had a buddy of mine who's in Dubai, and basically every girl he meets, he's like he has to check and see if she's an escort. And when he's there, there's a website that I can't remember what it's called, where you can go back and find websites that have been debunked or deleted, and you can still see them. So basically, you can take a picture of a girl. So I said this on one of my shows. You take a picture of a girl, and there's 2 websites. One of them will actually go through firewalls and figure out whether or not the image of this girl is on any Eros seeking arrangement, porn website, OnlyFans, anything like that. And the second thing was the concept of if she did have an account, like for instance, I don't know if you know who Travis Hunter is. He plays both ways on the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's like second pick in the draft. His girlfriend had an OnlyFans and then took it down, and people found her old OnlyFans using this technique. Anyway, I start talking about this, and the oh my God, this is immature. The girl I was seeing at the time got furious that I posted this, and I was like, yo, I didn't even look you up. And then it went back to the whole thing I said before. It's like all of a sudden now, not only is it okay for men to get humiliated and cheated on, it's not okay for you to catch your partner cheating on you. And now people are getting angry about this. And I'm like,
insane.
And by the way, I never did any of these things. I'm just like you with the router thing. I didn't do them. But the mere mention of me figuring out a way to use counterintelligence to figure out whether or not my girl is cheating is me figuring out if someone is cheating is now deemed offensive and toxically masculine.
I think like the casual girl who does like the research is probably pretty good. I think if I was serious about research, I could figure out everything.
Of course.
I feel like a guy would be like much more thorough. There's much more like involved techniques. Wait, you said something that was kind of interesting. I kind of want to go back to that. I can't even remember. You said
Searching the photos?
Searching the photos was one of them, but
the counterintelligence?
Counterintelligence, no.
I know you did some of that. That's what I did in the military.
Oh, really interesting. Yeah. No, I can't remember. But it was something along the lines with the relationships. Okay. Now I remember. So you've obviously dated girls and you make content. So I've dealt with this one as well where the girl doesn't like your content sometimes.
Bro.
Or doesn't like your app.
Bro.
Or this is my new rule. This is a new rule.
Hold on. You don't mind my app or my content when I take you to Tulum. So there's no problem then, right?
So this is such a fascinating thing. It's like this. It goes, people who don't mind spending your money, but then judge you how you make it.
Bro, it's so it's the Tony Soprano's wife. You know what I'm saying?
God.
It's like she spends all of his money and then complains because he's a mob boss.
Oh my God.
Okay, so
you gotta be a boss to get anywhere in life. You know, like if you want to cut through competition, you gotta be a little cut through it. Like if I yell at my Indian developers, and like I like yelling at them, they don't have the same like employment rights. I can scream at them, and I don't do it all the time, but like it makes me sometimes like feel like things are gonna get done quicker. And like being told I can't do that, even though I'm like building like a product that's like super successful, is just very strange to me. But you know.
I'm seeing this one girl. She's an actress, and we're not like it's not serious, but she's really, really, really attractive. She's from Latvia, whatever, and she literally has guys that would take her gambling and spend a bunch of money on her. Wow. And I asked her, I was like, when you talk to these guys, are you telling them the truth? She's like, of course not. I'm gaslighting the shit out of these dudes because I'm just trying to get money out of them. Then she comes to me and she goes, my mother does not like the content that you make. So and I don't think we should see each other anymore because the content that you make comes off as offensive. And I was like, hold on, wait a second. Are you kidding me?
Insane.
When I take you to dinner, you don't seem to have a problem with it. And you literally have a job where you lie to other people with your mouth and you care about what I say on the internet. And I don't even post you. Yeah. That to me, I was like, the level of hypocrisy is madness. It's like, it's so clear to me. And by the way, men are guilty of this too. It's so clear to me that like you are, let's say you're wealthy and they just see the McLaren, the Bugatti, whatever. They just think that your wealth is inherent. They think your wealth is innate.
It came on a tree.
And they don't understand the people you had, the throats you had to slit to get to the point where, and the incredible level of work you had to do. Yeah. And then when that work or whenever that behavior gets in the way of the relationship, they're right there to complain, not putting 2 and 2 together and be like, no, baby, this is how I got the Bugatti. Yeah. You understand?
Yeah.
Because I said the crazy shit. So don't ever. So I made the rule for every girl I see from now on. I tell them very immediately, if you ever use something I say on one of my podcasts against me, we're done.
Yeah.
Because you don't support my business.
I had, this was a tough one in my last relationship where like I had to really think about this, but like I got called a scammer one time. Well, I took her. We were in Costa Rica, and this person was already staying at like what's it called? Where do you stay when you don't have any money? Hostels or whatever. So she was in hostels, and I was going to meet her there, and I took her to like the resort. And on the way, she's like, "You're kind of a scammer." I'm like, I don't think I'm a scammer, but she was in a bad mood, and I've forgiven her. Maybe I shouldn't be airing this out, but like I was just like, damn, like. How can you say that? Do you want to go back to the hostel or do you want to go to the resort? You know? So we got the resort, everything was better. So that was the moral of the story.
Speaking of everything being better, the fake winning the lottery.
Oh God, that's kind of like what started the social media like experiments. Here's a rule I have, and I think you'll attest to this: is that a weak man is a man who's like, I don't know if we can use these words, but like they chase women. Okay,
yeah.
They're addicted to women. Okay,
yeah.
And any chance they get, they will go after and try to do whatever they can to have a woman. And I don't have friends like that. I try not to have friends like that. If I see a guy and he's like desperate for attention from women, I won't be their friend because they'll sell you out in a heartbeat, right?
Yeah. So what Justin Waller says, I'm not afraid of an evil man. I'm afraid of a desperate man.
Oh, yeah. That's exactly right. And, women have a lot of power in many ways, one of which is they can if you give them power, they can ruin your life. They can sleep with your friends. And if you have a weak friend, they will do, I mean, not all women will do this, but some might, right?
And it's humiliating. It's publicly humiliating.
Exactly. And that's a big thing for me, like respect, and I don't want to be humiliated by a girl. Long story short, it happened to me, like where a girl I was seeing and COVID happened, and this girl was good looking, and I was living in New York City. I might have been like 26 or 27, and she was probably 21, I think. Anyway, she like came to my birthday. This girl I was like kind of hooking up with. I think she was like Swedish. Very beautiful. She was like talking to my one friend. My one friend wasn't particularly attractive, just a short guy. He was on the wrestling team with me at Drexel, so he had like fucked up ears. My ears are fine, but his were real up. He's kind of like, I would say, I don't know, conventionally unattractive. Doesn't make any money, and she was like, she was like really interested in this conversation, but I didn't think much of it. Long story short, COVID happens. I moved to Florida, and he like starts hooking up with her, which I'm like, that's kind of like, I used to like see this person.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, well, I want to do social media. I decided that's the thing I'm going to do now. So I created a website. This all starts with a fake website, guys. You can do anything if you convince someone that something is true. I created a fake news website, and I ran an article about me winning the lottery for like, I think $3 million. And I like posted it on my story, and I put a link in my Instagram bio, and everyone thought this was like legitimate.
Yes.
So eventually got back to the girl I was dating that now was hooking up with my old friend. And I mean, it was just like, I'm so sorry, I made this mistake. I'm so happy for you. And this this was the inspiration for Paralive in a way where like this girl just switched up so quickly.
She wants to apologize because you fake won the lottery.
Because she thought I won the lottery, but which also was kind of interesting. It was kind of interesting because the good evidence here was like to my friend who thought he was now seeing this girl. It was like kind of like an obvious like look, she's now back, wants to hang out with me. I haven't talked to him since. I'll never talk to him again. He's a loser. He's still a loser to this day, believe it or not. Guys, I mean, this is like 5 years ago this happened, and just like a little bit of fast forward, he's a loser now. He's literally a loser.
Yeah.
So these behaviors really drive what, like, I didn't have much money back then either, but how did I become I think I had success. How did he become a loser and I had success? And it just comes to like your morals and like your character. Like I wouldn't sleep with my friends.
Inability to delay gratification.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Delayed gratification is literally the pinnacle of like what success is, a requirement of success. And I mean, for me, I look back at that, and it was a good thing because I started doing social media. That video was one of my best YouTube videos, and again, I don't do a ton of YouTube content on the long form side, but it was a long form video I made about the whole scenario, and I think I got like 100,000 views, and got me into like the creator program, and then I started doing content, and then I made my app, and then that made millions of dollars. So like in the end, it kind of all comes down to like this girl Anna and this guy, I don't even want to say his name, but regardless, that gave me like the inspiration to like do content, which changed my life.
So
5 years later,
you mentioned the idea of you were doing long form YouTube content, and then you figured out that like TikTok was a lot easier. You had to put a lot less work in there, and you would get like I'm the opposite. I actually get more leads from YouTube, and I'd put a lot of work in that versus now I don't have a huge following on YouTube, but I do get a lot of leads for my business for high ticket coaching from YouTube. And so from your standpoint, like what caused you, like you are having a lot of success on TikTok. Like what are the things, where do you determine where the ROI comes from?
It's really simple. I think if you have a high ticket product, YouTube is better because the long form requires more trust, right? But my value proposition is obvious within like 30 seconds of watching a video.
Yes.
So for me, like right now, Instagram is like crushing for me. Like my Instagram has been literally insane for this product. So TikTok, I don't know what's going on over there. I do okay on TikTok, but on Instagram I've been crushing. So yeah, I mean the point of it is I did Instagram and TikTok to promote my product because I'm promoting an app, right? They don't need to love me as a person.
Yeah.
But I think for you, they need to love you or like you a little bit to buy your program. So I think that's why it makes sense because in long form, you get to know someone much deeper.
I also found that from what I've seen, long form content, it is mostly consumed by men.
That's
like
a good point.
like really, like when we talk about 3-hour podcasts, it's more than I think 80% men if we're talking for that. And I think that's part of the reason why like Call Her Daddy like lost a lot of steam, or why what's Michelle Obama's podcast doesn't do very well. It's because her audience is not a long form content audience. Whereas with TikTok, it's what you said, it was like a lot for females. It's way more geared for females. I love TikTok. As far as indexing ideas, if I have a cool idea, I go on TikTok and immediately say, does anyone else try this as far as viral video? For that, it's terrific, but it's also kind of brain rot. It's always also kind of just swipe when I don't like what I'm seeing. There's a great book on this by Jonathan Haidt called The Anxious Generation, and it goes over when children have access to social media apps going through puberty, the level of anxiety skyrockets, neuroticism, ADHD, all these kind of things. And so he's proposing that children should not, so until you're 16, 17 years old, it should be a federal legislation to keep smartphones away from kids at that age.
I can tell you from personal experience, I have been addicted to social media for sure. And it's been a problem actually. And I've been angrier, like in the real world, more cynical. And I'm like, these people are being conned, like especially when I see like the people like being like, what's it called, like the women baiting, as you called it.
Yeah,
I'm like, you're being conned.
Women pandering,
pandering, yes,
by some of the worst humans.
Like this guy's
ever
a grifter. Not our mutual friend.
Well, hold on. Not only a grifter, because our mutual friend's a really funny guy.
Yeah,
it's not only that. It's the Justin Baldoni, who's the male feminist who in the underground on the down low harasses women and shows them nudes and shows them pics. Like it's like I'm telling you, someday when they're all gonna, like Derek Jackson, Chris GQ Perry, all these guys, they're gonna come out and find out that these dudes were the biggest scumbags of all. It's just so crazy. And the women just sop up the women pandering stuff that these guys say, and it's like, I actually love women. You want to know why? You know what? Know how I can tell? Because I tell them the truth.
Yeah.
Even when it hurts their feelings, I tell them the truth.
Yeah.
And these guys don't love women. They're just gaslighting them. Oh, if you have a dream that your man cheats on you, you should break up with him. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Insane.
But no, the video got 1 million likes when the dude said that.
Yeah. And
then I'm like, how am I gonna? This is what I'm competing against, like hokum, and yet this guy's getting 100x more views than me. It's crazy.
But it's truly because people are watching it, and it's. People want, like, it's the extremes. People want to have their fears like pushed away, and they want to be more comforted. And anyone who can do that, they're going to love. Like, I'll give you one thing about the witch stuff that I did. When I did the WitchTok stuff, people thought I was the funniest guy in the world. I do think I'm funny, but when you hate something and then someone attacks the thing you hate, you love that person instantly.
Sure. Yeah.
So when I attacked the witches, so many people who were like, in the religious groups or ex-religious or like, coming out of like the spirituality stuff, they like loved me right away. Thought I was the funniest guy in the world. Even with the Paralive, guys will be like, dude, you're so funny, because they hate women and they see my videos and they think that like somehow I'm like helping them with their cause or whatever. And I'm like, I don't agree with, I don't hate women. That's the thing.
That's a really good point. When I see it, I just think of this as an evolutionary response. Just like if you showed men really attractive women, it's an evolutionary response for them to give those women attention. If you artificially show a man with status, it's a woman's evolutionary response. It doesn't make her evil.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's the thing we have to understand. It's also one of these things where like I hear hypergamy is bad and these men hate women because they're hypergamous. And my question to you is, if you had a daughter, who would you want your daughter to marry? The guy with the small arms who makes no money, who can't protect your daughter or her offspring, or the guy who just was a former military officer who can bench press 315 pounds and would go downstairs with a shotgun to kill for your daughter?
Yeah.
Who would you rather your daughter marry? Oh, you'd rather your daughter marry the strong guy? Then you're hypergamous as well as a man. So I think it's really important. I thought that was a really important caveat. When I see, is it funny as to watch these girls start grinding on dudes whenever they use parallel lives?
Yes,
holy crap, it's hilarious. But in my mind, does that mean, well, then all women are transactional? No, that does not. That's not the reaction that I get.
It's not even like transactional, because you'll find women that are transactional. It's actually just more like if you're from a small town and you see a guy and you're on a trip and you're in Vegas or Miami and you see a guy and he's like live streaming, there's 30,000. You've never seen that before. Sure. It's like a new thing. So you're like, oh, I've seen it online, but I've never seen it in person. Yeah. What do you do? Who are you? And I think they are more attracted to you because of this, right? Because there's validation there. But I don't think it's transactional always. But there could be some transactional where they're like, oh, I want to be on his stream because I want to get followers too. That's a thing as well. But not all women are like. Sometimes it's just like you're just like different, and that is attractive to some women, or a lot of women, I think.
Yeah, it's a massive breaking report. You've never seen it before. It's a pattern interrupt. They're used to being women are used to being in a nightlife environment or a social environment being the more powerful of the two genders. They're used to getting the most attention. They're used to this. Yeah. And there's this massive pattern interrupt when a guy comes up and he has more attention than she does.
Yeah.
A lot of times for women, it's like all these women who want to be influencers, what they want is Kim Kardashian's lifestyle. I get paid for existing. I get paid for just living, existing. And then they see you and you're just on this stream and you're just existing and just money is flowing.
Yeah, they're
to
like, you just made $50 because and they're like, I go, yeah, baby, that's my life.
You're better at being the hot girl than they are. Yeah. You're better at just existing than they are when they see this, and now they want to be you. And it's this weird phenomenon because it's such a pattern interrupt, going back to what I said before, because the majority of their interactions with men are desperate men who immediately ask them on dates when they first see them, stare at their boobs, send pics, message them 50 times in a row without a response, get put in the request file. That's what they're used to. Yeah. That's what they're used to. And now seeing you're such a contrast to that, then of course, that's going to capture their attention.
Did you ever see my app Rebound?
Yeah, so that was the next one I was going to ask you about. Rebound is incredible.
So I never actually finished that one, and I feel like I should have, but I don't know. I got busy with other things. I mean, Paralive had a lot of success, so I kind of focused on that. So I made this app Rebound, and it's for the guys who I guess I'm not breaking through the girls' DMs or whatever. What I noticed was so this all came from a viral trend on TikTok where you'd post your soulmate, and they're all these cute couples posting their soulmate. So I made a video where I took 500 of the top soulmates, and I found their Instagrams. Super creepy, I get this, but it's out there in the public. I'm making a funny social experiment, so I had to do it. Sue me. So anyway, I find their relationship photo of them together. So you have this guy and this girl. Everyone knows this. They post their girlfriend or the girl posts their boyfriend on their Instagram, right? So what I would do is I copy the link to that photo, and then I'd put it in an app I made called Rebound, and I'd put all their links in my app, and then my app would track when that photo gets deleted. And when it got deleted, I would send a message "Oh, hey."
Brilliant! I was wondering how you could figure this out. Yeah. It's when the couple photos are deleted. Yeah. Yeah. I thought you were scraping the API on Facebook for single to.
No. Yeah. No one updates that, and then you can't do follow. Everyone has tried to build this product. This is why being creative was so useful, because engineers try to build this product and know when people break up by tracking whether people unfollow each other.
Yes.
But because those APIs, which is technical term for access to Instagram's information is private, you're not really allowed to do that. So if you pull a lot of that information, they'll ban you. Okay.
Yes.
So I just needed one piece of information, which is the photo link, and whether it was existing or not existing. So
that would have worked for me and my ex. If you had used this app, they would have immediately known that.
So when that photo gets deleted, you slide in the DMs, and you had a 60% response rate. Right the moment they delete that photo, it's hey, what's up? I just thought you were really cute. You should come out to Miami sometime. Yeah, I was living in Miami when I did this, but this was years ago. And the response rates were insane. These were soulmates. Yeah. Remember that. And you know what's even funnier? It's because I would track all this stuff, and it's when they delete the photo, and then and about 2 hours later it goes back up, and I said, oh, they had a bad fight. Okay, well now I know they're not doing too well.
Yeah,
and it was such an interesting indicator. And I think when I made the video, I made one video about it. It got 8 million views on TikTok. And it was all women that downloaded the app. I thought it'd be guys trying to get laid.
Sure.
It was all women, wanted to know what their ex-boyfriends were doing, how their relationships were. They just wanted the tea.
Is it still there?
It's on the App Store, but I don't think it works. I have to update it. The problem with this product was that it technically does go against Instagram's terms of service, and I didn't want to be responsible for someone getting their Instagram deleted or something.
Yes.
So I think I can make it. I think I can make it in a way where it'd be pretty safe.
Probably you'd have to use some sort of visual way to look at it on the web version. The app would have to probably scrape the web version.
Even that could have risk. There was a way of doing it, and the upside I thought wasn't large enough for me to put time and effort into it. Why fight? I don't want to fight a company's compliance, because what if they go after my Instagram? Which is kind of my bread and butter. So I just thought it wasn't worth it. I might bring it back eventually, but not right now.
I'll tell you something interesting. So you mentioned if you were to message the girl within 5 minutes of the photo going down, you got a 60% open rate.
Insane.
There was this thing where, and I've hosted maybe 60, 70 pageants. These are either bikini competitions, swimsuit competitions, or just actual pageants where the girl has to answer questions in a dress, whatever. And the girls who don't make the top 10, when guys would ask them out right after the competition, the girls were always saying yes. It was one of the wildest things I've ever seen, because I had a bunch of guys that would come. Whenever I have a competition, I invite a bunch of dudes, because if you have a bikini competition, you invite as many guys as you want. and I have my guys come out there, and I would say,
so smart.
And the girls who did not get the top 5 or the top 10 validation, if you went and talked to them afterwards, like I'm just here telling you guys what I saw. I'm not telling you to go do this, but what I saw was when guys would ask those girls out who did not get the top 10, immediately the girls would be like, yes, let's go out. I thought that was crazy.
So funny.
And it reminded me exactly of what you said about this whole situation.
I believe you 100% because that makes a lot of sense. I have a funny story on this real quickly. This is before I had a girlfriend or my last relationship. I was like, there's this girl that I didn't know who she was, but she was like, I think we matched on a dating app and we chatted and she kind of like ghosted. So like, yeah, that's fine. And she ghosted, whatever. Maybe I'll unfollow her eventually. I don't know, whatever. I didn't think about it. And then she posted that she took second place in a powerlifting competition. This girl was like, she was like small. She's like 5, maybe 6, but she was like, you know, kind of built or whatever. Not too crazy though. But I was like, who got first? So I commented, who got first? What's the ad? Like I was like joking, what's the ad of the girl who got first? And she sent it to me. So I DM'd that girl who got first. She actually ended up going out with me. And I am taking like a video of us together. Like,
oh no!
And I sent it to her. I'm like, hey, thanks for the connection.
Oh my god!
I can show the messages.
That's more petty than anything I would ever do. That's crazy.
But I actually had fun. Like I actually liked the girl. Like it was actually really we had a good time.
Well, you know, she was in good shape.
Yeah, and we actually had a great time. And I was like, yeah, you know, I'll invite you to the wedding. And it was like a video of us like having wine together. I sent it to her. Yeah, I actually wasn't trying to be. I thought it was funny, but I didn't see it as petty because like it wasn't like this girl owed me anything. She didn't do anything to me. I was just like, thanks for the connection.
I did something somewhat similar. I was dating a girl who was bisexual and she was really into this other girl. And when we broke up, I started dating the other girl and posting. I did similar, but it wasn't like a long-term relationship.
I wouldn't like hurt someone to hurt them. I didn't think I was hurting her. I think she cared. She didn't. Yeah. To me, it was just like a funny like irony, like, oh, like didn't work out here, but thank you for the connection here. And I thought maybe a small bit of it was like, she said something nasty to me, like, oh, like, you know, I ghosted you for a reason, and I say, good, I don't date people in second place.
Oh no!
I didn't say that though. I was mad. I was mad a little bit. Yeah, like whatever.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've learned the hard way: do not compete at the lowest tier. You're going to deal with the lowest tier problems. You initially were charging $10, and then you switched it to like a monthly subscription program, and you were dealing with better clients. Now I'm going to tell you this: doing high ticket coaching, which is what I do now, the clients who pay the most get the best results. And I know that sounds very self-serving, but it's true because you've invested more, and so I get better out of you. The guys who literally take my lowest tier program and then also haggle on price are always the worst clients. In fact, we have specific coaches set up for those clients because we know those are the guys who are going to make all the excuses and never take action.
Wow.
And so it's one of these things where Alex Hormozi says, make products that solve problems for rich people. You mentioned, again, you said do not compete at the lowest tier. And you've seen, like, as you raise your prices, you actually have a better quality of consumer.
I would say, like, yes, absolutely. So when I first built this product, I was like $10 flat. That seems reasonable. And people were complaining about price. Like, everyone's complaining about price. I'm like, well, you should give it away for free. I'm like, you didn't get a computer science degree. Like, you didn't spend computer science sucks. Like, I don't care. Like, I wasn't born to work on a computer. I just like happened to think that this was like a good field to be in. So I did it, you know, it wasn't my passion, but I did it and I got good at it. And when you get good at something, you'll start to like it. And anyway, so I built this product and people were complaining about price and I'm like, $10 is fine. And then I changed it to actually $10 a week. Not $10. Well, $10 a week was.
It was $10 lifetime, right?
Lifetime, yeah. And then I turned it to $10 a week, and all the complaints went away. I get like some complaints, like not directly to me, but maybe like some reviews, like it's too expensive. But it's very rare actually. And I'm like, why is that? And I think when you have a low quality like appearance product, like as in this is $10, so it appears to be cheap because it's only $10. Then you know no matter what the product does, it's like it's cheap. It's $10. So you know people can haggle and complain. But if it's $10 a week, well, this product must be doing more. And the product hasn't changed. It's just the pricing. Well, now it's high end. You know, it's expensive. So
I think it's the Benjamin Franklin effect. You just because they invested more. Again, after I bought my Cybertruck, every time I saw a Cybertruck, I was like, yeah, good purchase on my like you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And then every time so people get that cognitive bias. And I think in this situation, if they pay more, I've just never seen anything more consistent than this. When a client is willing to go like complete paid in full, buy the highest program, the retention and satisfaction is 100%, and there's never a complaint, and they're the first guys to give me a testimonial. When the guy is like seriously haggling about the lowest tier program, and then he's in there, and then it's never an action taker. It's always an excuse maker that we have to deal with. I want to ask you this because you said something else that I thought was really powerful, and that was, having clout. Like, I'm not that. I have maybe 500,000 followers. I'm not that big of a deal. Maybe to my friends I am, but not to the most of the world. You mentioned the same thing as like even having 1 million followers, you're really not that significant. But having clout when you are in a situation where you're in the right, meaning you've done something that's completely right, is something where having clout can really help you.
Oh, you mean like when you're getting attacked?
Yeah, when you're getting attacked. Yeah. But like if you're telling the truth, if you're a con artist and you have a bunch of clout and then you try to use the clout in your favor, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But if you're actually in the right, I thought this was a really powerful thing. Yeah. You're like getting screwed over, or I've seen this before where somebody, some airline or something is screwing over someone, and there's a big influencer who like ats the airline and says, "Hey, how are you going to solve this?" That the clout actually helps you, and the incredible influence and power that you can have from just having some clout.
Yeah, I mean, it's very true. I mean, I have a couple of scenarios in particular, and I'm not legally allowed to give details on this one, but like there's a casino here actually that I'm banned from for 4 years because I saw something very wrong and very predatory on their website to get people to gamble with them. And they made promises that they did not keep, actually. And I sued them because of it. And I got a lawyer, and we were going to do a class action lawsuit against, and it was like hundreds of millions of dollars they could lose. And I also was going to make like content on this casino doing these terrible things that you have heard of, everyone knows. And ultimately, they settled, and they settled very quickly. And I'm not allowed to speak about the details or who they were or anything, but I think my lawyers were like, this is like a bit of a stretch what you're saying, but we're surprised by how they're reacting. And it's like because of the clout, because I have gone super viral before. So they know this. And also the way lawyers think is like, their lawyers are like, here's the worst case scenario, or we could just give this guy a little bit of money and then he'll go away. I took the money.
There you go.
Take the money.
Capitalism. What's an uncomfortable truth that you believe in?
Well, first of all, I would say, that's a really good question, actually. I like people who can, okay. I like people who believe in it's actually exactly what you said. I like people who believe in inconvenient truths. So like someone who might have like what you find in like politics and like everywhere in society is that people just want to feel comfortable. That's why a lot of people who don't have a lot of money are like kind of liberal, and people with more money, like why are they all conservative? Because everyone's self-interest. Everyone's self-interest, right? So if you're someone who can be like, I'm conservative slightly, but the whole like religious Jesus thing, I don't buy it, right? I'm not into that thing, right? And people are like, well, I follow some conservative influencers. They follow me back. I like them. I like their content. I like Charlie Kirk. I like Charlie Kirk and his content. But I didn't think we're a Christian nation. We're objectively not a Christian nation. Like our founding fathers said, we are not a Christian nation. We have a number of different like articles to prevent, like Article 6, I think, if I can remember correctly, is like and it was like tried and tested, and like colonies tried to have. Anyway, the point of all this is that it is objective fact. Like we are not in any theme of a theocracy. We are not. We are secular.
Yes.
We're not Iran. Okay. But then we have like pundits and like people knowing this is not true, but saying it anyway. So I think I measure a person whether or not they can accept an inconvenient reality, which is like, yes, I am a conservative, but I also don't believe that, or I also know that we are not a quote unquote Christian nation.
Yeah.
I'm also, I guess this is convenient for me because I'm also like an atheist, but like going from religious to being not religious was inconvenient. And that had to make me question everything about, my upbringing and everything. So I measure someone, I really respect people who like, this is screwing me, but this is right.
Yes.
And that's really powerful.
Agreed. Yeah. I kind of judge people by like how badly they want a certain narrative to be true with no evidence.
Yeah.
So like how it's not the nonsense about Marcone's wife being a man, or the stuff about Charlie Kirk's wife setting up his own death. it's if you want to believe that, that's fine. That's actually not my issue. My issue is the guys who want to believe it. Like literally, they're getting an adrenaline rush from the idea that they're right. And I learned this first when I started debating flat earthers. So I have a background in astronomy, and I would invite flat earthers on, mainly out of fascination.
Yeah.
And because they were like a cult, and I would sit there and talk to them, and then it was just so clear to me. It's not just that they believe the earth is flat, is that they wanted to believe that the earth was flat.
And there's like a higher like ritual or spiritual reasoning, or like it confirms like something that they need to be true to justify to be comfortable, to justify their life.
Justify their life. So again, if there's a cabal, a conspiracy to kill Charlie Kirk, then that's the same cabal that kept me fat and on my couch, and the reason why I never started the company or got in shape.
It's the same like arguments for like if you're against like when I saw so I guess my hero or my role model of life would be like Christopher Hitchens. Are you familiar with him or not?
What do I remember? The actor.
No. Christopher Hitchens was a journalist. He died in 2011. But if you get a chance, he has tons of lectures online. You'd love him. He pretty much his whole thing is like I hate force belief, or like like you have to believe this or you're against us, right?
Yes.
So this is why I don't really like fall with like I think that if you're gonna be a leader in life, like leaders in life do not like are not forced to believe things. I truly believe this. Like I think like for me, for example, I don't force to accept the whole Republican. Like I don't consider myself like Republican, right? I think that requires like a lot more than what I'm willing to give.
More investment,
yeah. And I think with like the BLM stuff, when I saw that, I'm like, oh, this is a scam. Like you have to accept all of this or you're the enemy.
Yes.
This is the same, like these are the same behaviors. So I dated a girl that was Canadian, and like that's a big thing there. They're like, well, if you think this, then you must be this. And I'm like there's an area where I can like I don't think that's right, but I also still think that people should have like human rights according.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's just like so obvious to me when people are being scammed into like a cult, and so, not like maybe an aggressive cult, but like a loose cult, like where they'll out you in certain ways. They're not going to kill you, but you know what I'm saying. They'll attack you, they'll attack your character, they'll judge you for things. So yeah, I guess like forced belief is like a weakness, and you see that with every like large movement.
Yeah, the inconvenience. I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, there was Alex Jones goes on TV on his show, and he says, I can guarantee you in September of this year, there will be another mask mandate by the Biden administration. And I was like, I'm curious, because I knew it wasn't going to happen. I was like, I'm curious when this doesn't happen, who's going to hold him accountable? Exactly. So I go online and I was like, hey, that whole mask mandate that was supposed to happen that never happened? Like, do you see Alex Jones was wrong? Well, of course, I'm a conservative. And so it's like, oh, you question Alex Jones? Like, what's wrong with you? And I'm like, this was lunacy. What he said was objectively not true, but you're attacking me? That's crazy to me. That was one of the things where I started to learn. I was like, no, man, like I believe in things even when they don't agree with my point of view. Yeah.
The Epstein files, for example, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not like big on like I'm not like big on like what's happening in politics, but like when he said, oh, we don't want to release it, and there's some indication that he might be in it, I remember being like, okay, MAGA, like what do you say to this? And a lot of them actually, I think, did like start to not like Trump because of it. And you can still support someone because maybe it benefits you for other reasons, but a lot of people were just like they couldn't like address that fact, like or they like sidestepped the question. My hardest problem with the internet, and I have to get better at this, is that like so many people are just like I know they're lying to themselves, and you just have to let them like live in their own world. And it's weird, but the thing that I learned about the internet is that you can be right about something. Okay, imagine like this is like trolls. I don't have a problem with people saying they don't like the way I look or whatever. I don't have a problem with. It's when someone can come up to me and be like, hey, Ethan, 2 + 2 is 5. I go, no, wait, it's actually 4. He's already walked out the door. Yeah, it's 5, loser, and he leaves the room.
Yeah, and now, the anonymous comment.
Now you're like, wait, what happened here? And now the internet, imagine the whole internet saying it to you. Oh, 2 + 2 is actually 5, you fucking moron. And I'm just like, damn, you can't argue with this like infinite energy that's saying something that's wrong.
The biggest example I saw of this was how conservatives and liberals were split on the conflict between Ukraine and Russia. I was like, yo, what is wrong? I grew up in the 80s, and I knew who the bad guys were. It was not, the Russians were not in favor of the United States.
Yeah.
And now these conservatives are like so in favor of Russia.
It's insane.
So I go,
like,
so again,
weird.
As a conservative, I remember I went on Fresh and Fit, and I was like, to explain to them, I was like, hey, as a military officer, let me explain something to you. Their hardware is garbage, and they're going to get their kicked if the Ukrainians get M1 Abrams tanks and blah, blah, blah. And I said, I guarantee you in 3 years, they will not take Kiev and everything will be exactly the same, but they will never settle out of court. They will never end this conflict until Putin is out of power. 3 years later, I am 100% correct. There's no award. Nobody's coming to tell me, guys, it's on camera. I say this, and like people were like in the chat calling me all kinds of names. I was 100% correct in my prediction. Wow. But the thing is, because I'm a conservative, all these conservatives like, no, Ukraine's a money laundering scheme. And like somehow Ukraine was run by a Jewish guy and the KKK at the same time, and the Nazi. Did you see this?
No.
There's one faction of the military that was like a pseudo like white nationalist group, and they were run by the Jews. I'm like, is it both?
Yeah.
What are you saying? My point is, I don't care. Like what happens in Ukraine and Russia is not a Republican Democrat thing. It's like, well, you must support Biden. I'm like, yo, this is madness. Yeah. You are incapable of free thought, and you're a sheep. What Russia did was the dumbest invasion, the single stupidest land invasion in the last 100 years. I will debate anyone on this. Yeah. But it's just not, and it doesn't matter who funded it. Do I think the United States should be giving Ukraine all this money? Probably not. I think it's kind of stupid. Yeah. But the idea but it was just so totally split on Democrats in support of Ukraine, Republicans in support of Russia. And I'm like, yo, what is wrong with your algorithm that you actually believe this?
I think what's really fascinating actually was like when the president stayed in Kiev. I thought that was very heroic. He didn't when it first happened, he didn't fold. Like he actually I'm gonna die here if I have to, right? And now you have Republicans who've never worked out in their life, and they're just fat, and they're like, this guy's a loser, he's just taking your money. I'm like, he's in a conflict zone for his people. Yeah. And I'm like you sound so stupid. You've never actually had to do anything in your life where you can just think that he's just like you, sitting on a couch yes. Yeah, give me the money, please. I'm like, no, this guy's fighting. His kids are somewhere else. His wife has to be in hiding or something. So for me, I was always that's when I was this is not Republican. This is just loser people, sheep people who happen to fall into one side or the other, but they're actually exactly the same. They don't want to address things that are inconvenient for their life.
Or nuanced. Russia has the right to invade whoever they want, and Ukraine has the right to defend themselves. Yeah. Sorry, both of you are wrong. That's my point. I don't support Ukraine. Yeah. I'm just Ukraine defend themselves? How dare they? Yeah. They're supported by Biden. I'm like, yo, do you hear yourself? You're on the same side as me, and you're saying this stupid chill out. You don't know anything about this war. Anyway, another question I have for you. The most underrated historical event that you can think of. It could be anything.
Underrated historical event. Okay. Well, by definition, historical is, something that we remember. So underrated would be this is a good question.
For me, it's the advent of antibiotics, the invention of the transistor, Sputnik going over the United States and then causing there to be a space race, those kind of things.
And you say underrated as in people don't recognize that.
Yes, yeah. Another one would be Michael Faraday creating the electric circuit and the electric generator, things like that. Nobody knows who Michael Faraday is, right? But his contributions.
Okay.
Alan Turing is another guy.
Mine's probably really boring, but I don't know if it was invented or if it was just the process of knowing anything, which is the scientific method, I guess you could say, maybe the age of enlightenment. I mean, it's you have these people who don't understand how to reason, which is if you can't create a model with predictive outcomes, mm-hmm. You really can't determine if something is true or false in the world of nature, So okay, let me think here.
The birth of science in the 16th century.
I guess I would say that. Also, the falsifiability is really important. So, for example, if you're arguing with somebody over a topic, and I'm like, okay, so what could I say that would change your mind? And they say, well, nothing. I'm like, well, then, you're kind of like a zealot. You're not necessarily reasonable because, by definition, a strong argument is one that could be disproven if you could provide certain evidence.
Yes.
But you can't show that evidence because it just doesn't exist. Same thing. So that's why evolution is so powerful. It's if you want to disprove evolution, there's a lot of ways you could do it. It just has never happened, right? So I would think we underestimate the benefit of scientific principles like falsifiability and just the scientific method altogether, which is our way of knowing things to be true, and true as in things that can be predictable. The outcomes can be predictable.
Yes. And they're true even if we don't want them to be true.
Yeah, regardless.
And we're not offended when we don't want them to be true.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the reality of life. And, I think in the social sciences, the same models can be applied, whether it's nature or not nature. I think understanding, creating a scheme or a process for knowing truth is super important. And I don't think people understand how that has improved my life. To this day, choices I've made because I look at people's lives who I'm they were smarter than me in college or high school, or they got more girls than I did or whatever. But how come I ended up I think I ended up doing pretty well and they're not doing well at all? And I just remember there was like very uncomfortable conversations I had to have with myself about like, I'm not happy with certain things. I'm going to do something about it. And like, here's like a pretty predictable way. If I do X, Y, and Z, I'll have this outcome. I did it. So I've never had a hard time just like working really hard for a unobtainable goal. And then I obtained it. My actually biggest depression of 2020 was 2025. Actually, I'm better now, but I was really depressed because I had all this success and I had no more problems to work on. And I got lazy and bored. And I got a girlfriend, which was, she was great, but like I was just complacent. And I feel like now I finally feel like I'm back at it. Like I have a new company. I'm really excited about it. So I realize for some people, or maybe just myself, I have to be doing something or I get so bored.
You dispassionately solve problems instead of waiting for astrology to solve your problems.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Last question. The most misunderstood thing about you?
I'm going to say two things. And one is kind of a joke. On the internet, everyone thinks I'm fat and short. I don't know what, I think I have a fat face. I don't know, maybe it's genetics, but everyone thinks I'm fat. And when they meet me in person, they're like, oh, you lost a lot of weight. I go, I was in better shape when you saw that video.
I think because you're taking these photos from up here and you have your head covered. I can think.
Probably I'm fat.
No, because I didn't think you were fat, but when I first met you, I was like, you were like a foot taller than I thought.
Yeah. So that's like, I guess like not that deep, but that's the kind of like first thing people don't expect. I think the other thing is, I think people genuinely think that I'm a lot nicer. Like I will say things that I believe are true, but it's not to hurt people's opinion or feelings. I think on the internet, people just are so warped. Like they see like their worldview, and then they see someone challenge that worldview, and they're like, "That's the same person as Andrew Tate. That's the same person as all these other like." I wouldn't say Andrew Tate's a grifter. Maybe he is. I don't really care. But grifters, you put them all in the same category. And that's because they don't have the tool set to decipher what is true and what is not true, right? Yes. So when you don't have the tool set, it's not well tuned. You're just going to for safety reasons, put everyone that sounds like this in the same group, right?
Yeah.
And what I find is that when people meet me in real life, they're just like, oh, I'm surprised that you're like not like an actor.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't know why people think that. I think I'm funny on the internet. But I can also see why they might think I'm an asshole if they have been hurt before, and then I make a video that makes them feel bad about that time because I don't know, maybe one time I can't even think of anything right now, but sometimes my content is funny for men and not funny for women. The witch stuff, for example. Okay, I'm kind of who are witches? Women are witches, right? I mean, there are some men witches, and that's a whole nother conversation. But anyway, I think
warlocks.
Yeah, the warlocks of the world. I think I actually met one of the witches. She was like, "I'm in Miami. I want to meet you and talk to you in person." So we met. And she, this is 2022. She ended trying to kiss me and hook up with me. It was insane. So she's like, "You're way different in person," and I'm like, "You just are too deep."
Yeah, but that same insecurity is why she became a witch.
Yeah,
because now she has a group that she can.
That's actually so true. The witch stuff is actually my observation where people who could not make it in reality had to create their own reality where they have powers.
LARPing, being a witch, believing that the earth is flat. For me, the moon landing deniers, because we did land on the moon.
Yeah.
Those are oh, I can't deal with objective reality, so I need to be part of this group that knows better than what we were taught in school.
We find this in all kind of even the politics, the Jews are running the world. Yeah. BLM is the only way we can come back from a racist society. It's the same thing. This is objective narrative that we have to, or they think objective narrative that we have to accomplish, and here's the way to do it. And we all know the insider information. Yeah. This is low IQ behavior. This is very what's it called? People who just believe in the conspiracies.
You're here for CES. Do you have an app coming up that you're trying to promote?
No, I don't have an app I'm promoting right now. I mean, if you guys want to download Parallel Live, it's on the App Store. You always say Parallel Lives. It's Parallel Live. Okay, it's just singular, but it's on the App Store. You can download it if you want. I have a new product coming out, but it's way more boring. Has to deal with fraud. There's a lot of fraud in this world, and we have to fight it. So that's what I'm working on.
Exactly. Awesome. And then where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram and TikTok. It's Ethan Kaiser. What sucks about my username is it's Ethan Kaiser. So when I tell someone, they're like, oh, they start putting in Ethan. I'm like, no, you need the ITS. It's Ethan Kaiser. Yeah, they think that I'm telling them, but no, the username is it's Ethan Kaiser. Yep.
Beautiful. Awesome, man. Well, we got an exciting week of CES. Thank you guys for joining us. I hope you guys appreciated this. He's actually attacking the social sciences from a different angle. And so I really do appreciate him coming on. And you guys should check out the Rebound thing. I think that was hilarious. Yeah. I hope that Astrology website is up still somewhere.
I don't think it's up, but I have to put it back up.
Yeah, that's incredible. And you guys can also check out Parallel Lives, or just go on his IG and then look at the videos of it. If you have any question before, one of the biggest arguments I get into with people is the idea of status being real or fake. There is no such thing as real status. Status is only perceived. And one of the greatest examples I've seen of that is the way people all of a sudden act whenever he uses this app. So I think it was really great. Thanks you, man, for coming out. You're going to see him on Access Vegas later on, and we will see you guys next week.